microphone shouldn't be so close. We should move it back to where, next to Gazarovski, because we don't want people standing right here with their backs to. Put it back next to, yeah.
So when the attorney starts speaking, we just address some questions to the attorney and the other guy, right?
Yeah,
To us,
just, right. Well, first he's gonna ask, I'm sure, in German or something, but whatever he's gonna say,
Okay. We're gonna say.
procedurally. Yeah, maybe he's got questions or to the wastewater guy. What's his name?
Yeah. All right, call to order. I hereby announce pursuant to Section 5 of the Open Public Meetings Act that adequate notice of this meeting has been transmitted on January 16, 2025 by the Board Administrative Officer to the Asbury Park Press, the Two River Times, the Township Clerk, and has been posted in the meeting room and in the entrance hall and town hall, all pursuant to Section 13 of the Open Public Meeting Act. Roll call.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like to take advantage. This is our last planning board meeting of the year. So I just wanted to thank our professionals, the board for amazing meeting, for team environment. Have a blessed, healthy, and happy holidays. Thank you for everything.
Thank you.
Mr. Connolly,
Here.
Mr. Ackerson,
Here.
Mr. Romano, Mr. Fagan,
Here.
Mr. TJ Mann,
Here.
Mr. Emma,
Here.
Mr. King, Ms. Plausas, Mr. Silberman,
Here.
Mr. Dorse, Mr. Bell. Thank you.
Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And a moment of silence to honor the military, police, and first responders. Thank you. First order of business, we got some housekeeping to take care of. The minutes, we have the minutes from September 16th, 2025. Do we have a motion to accept?
Motion.
Second? Anyone?
Second.
Okay.
Eligible to vote, Mr. Connolly,
Yes.
Mr. Fagan,
Yes.
Mr. King, Ms. Plausas, Mr. Silberman,
Yes.
and Mr. Bell. Thank you.
Okay, next, we have the minutes from 9/30/25. Do we have a motion to accept?
Mr. King motioned.
I'll second.
Eligible to vote, Mr. Fagan,
Yes.
Mr. Emma,
Yes.
Ms. Plausas, Mr. Mann,
Yes.
and Mr. Silberman.
Yes. Okay, next, we have minutes from 11/10/25. Do we have a motion to accept?
Moved. Second.
Eligible to vote, Mr. Connolly,
Yes.
Mr. Fagan,
Yes.
Mr. King, Ms. Plausas, Ms. Mann, I'm sorry, Mr. Mann,
Yes.
Mr. Ackerson,
Yes.
Mr. Silberman.
Yes.
For the record, minutes for November 10th, September 30th, and September 16th, 2025 were successfully approved. Thank you.
Okay. Now we have two resolutions to discuss. First being resolution number 2025-10, PB 21-663, Heavenly Estates, 26 Main Street, Block 2, Lots 2 and 26, R-4R Zone, preliminary and final major subdivision with associated bulk variances. The applicant seeks preliminary and final major subdivision approval to create 16 residential single lots with one lot to contain the existing single-family home and 3 open spaces and 1 open space slash stormwater lot.
Applicants,
Yes.
The resolution number 2025-10 was successfully approved. Thank you.
Next is Resolution 2025-11, PB 2025-F, amendment of site plan with bulk variances, St. Benedict Catholic Church, 165 Bethany Road, Homedale, New Jersey, 07733, Block 30.9, Lot 6.01. More specifically, the plan proposes a two-story addition consisting of approximately 8,600 square feet on the first floor and 6,185 square feet on the second floor. The improvements will add 4 new classrooms and/or communal space, which would permit an increase of approximately 30 students and 3 full-time staff members, including classroom teachers and support personnel.
Again, Cento Professionals and the applicant's attorney, a few minor comments by our engineer, and what you have is the final version of the resolution.
Okay. Do we have a motion to accept?
Motion.
Anyone second?
Second.
Eligible to vote, Mr. Connolly,
Yes.
Mr. Emma,
Yes.
Mr. King, Mr. Mon. You know, I'm going to double check. Mr. Ackerson,
Yes.
Mr. Silberman,
Yes.
and Mr. Bell. Thank you. For the record, Resolution 2025-11 was successfully approved. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, and before we get to the public hearing, I prepared a statement that I'm just going to read to everyone here. Basically, before we begin, I want to say good evening and welcome everyone to our Homedale Township Planning Board meeting, and thank you all for your attendance and participation. Despite what some people may think about some of the planning board members, we all believe it is important that all parties come together as a community to discuss and plan for the future of our township. We are all residents at the end of the day, and we take pride in Homedale. While the first hearing only had a handful of residents present that listened and asked questions regarding the applicant's presentation of the overall aspects, engineering aspects of the project, at the last meeting, in which the applicant's remaining testimony was limited to providing testimony as to the operation of the wastewater treatment facility and its traffic report, there was an unexpectedly large number of people present. Despite the wastewater treatment facility being under the jurisdiction of the DEP and thus, from the board's perspective, purely for informational purposes, the meeting seemed at times to get out of control, including repetitive questions, shouting out of order, and comments being made. Accordingly, as we move through the agenda tonight, I would like to take a moment to outline some of the important guidelines that can be applied to any board meeting to ensure that we all have a productive and respectful experience. I would like everyone to understand this process and what the goal of the meeting is. First, please note that the board needs to ensure a fair hearing to all involved, including the applicant. Under the rules and regulations adopted by the board, I, as the chairman, am responsible for ensuring the meeting runs smoothly and efficiently. Therefore, I am required to guide the order of discussion, manage the flow of conversation, and attempting to ensure that everyone has an opportunity to be heard. This also means I can interject on questions of the public if, in my opinion, it's warranted, such as a question already having been asked and answered, or if the public speaker is making a comment during the public question portion of the hearing. By doing so, it does not mean that I do not respect your opinion, or that I somehow have prejudged the application, or otherwise that I'm somehow trying to help the applicant. To the contrary, I am merely trying to ensure a fair hearing regardless of the ultimate decision by the board on the merits. Secondly, while this is a public meeting, and as such we do welcome your input, it is also a quasi-judicial proceeding that requires a certain level of decorum. In addition to common sense, the rules are in place to guide our hearings. While some can be discretionary, examples of some of these rules involve being recognized by the chairman, the length of time to speak, asking repetitive questions, and disruptive behavior. If you wish to ask a question on the testimony provided, you'll raise your hand and wait to be recognized. When called upon, come to the microphone, state your name and address for the record, and then address your questions to the witness on the testimony presented by that witness. During this process, I indicated at the last hearing, as the chair, I have the discretion to enforce the board's Rule 4.05, limiting a person's time to speak. While we did not strictly enforce the announced 3-minute limit at the last hearing, it was not required at the first hearing. Given the large number of public here, I am announcing that the board will be enforcing the 3-minute limit for tonight's hearing. When the 3-minute timer goes off, I may ask you to end your question of the witness within reason. Under the authority of the same Rule 4.05, I will attempt to limit repetitive questions of the same or similar topic. As such, if a point has already been addressed, we ask you to refrain from asking the same question again, as it not only unnecessarily prolongs the hearing, and if I have to interject to enforce this rule, it can disrupt the flow of the meeting. This also includes questions that were raised at a previous meeting. Additionally, I'd like to remind everyone that while some may have strong feelings on any given issue, disruptive behavior will not be tolerated. If anyone becomes disruptive or violates Rule 4.06 governing decorum, you will be asked to remain quiet. If it continues, I have the right to have disruptive person removed from the meeting. As quoted from the rule, disruptive conduct includes sustained inappropriate behaviors, such as but not necessarily limited to shouting, interruption, and the use of profanity. We want to maintain a respectful environment where all viewpoints can be heard without interference. As such, I ask for your cooperation in following the guidelines, as they are in place to facilitate an efficient meeting for all parties, including the public. Almost done. Thirdly, the planning board's responsibility is to determine whether a prospective developer's application is consistent with the municipal land use law, the applicable zoning ordinances, and the town's master plan, or whether a deviation, generally called a variance or a waiver, is justified under the applicable legal standards. Regarding this application, tonight's hearing is to complete the remaining public questions of the applicant's witness with respect to the wastewater treatment facility and following the applicant's traffic testimony and public questions on the traffic testimony. Only after the applicant has completed its direct testimony will the board move to open the hearing for members of the public to provide comment. Please be aware that the board will follow the same procedures as we did for public questions, including time limits, except you will need to be sworn in. Again, as a reminder, as currently proposed and as indicated in our professional review letters, the applicant is not asking for any relief, waiver, or variance concerning the wastewater treatment plant, nor is what they are proposing inconsistent with the redevelopment plan. Given the large turnout under 4.09, I'm asking anyone who has not already asked a question but wishes to ask a question to the applicant's expert on the wastewater treatment facility to indicate your names on the sign-in sheet, which is, well, it was in the back, but it's right there on that little table there. Once the sign-in sheet is accepted by the board, no further public participation will be permitted. With that, I'd like to thank you all for attending, and I look forward to a respectful and constructive discussion tonight. With that said, let's proceed with the continued hearing on the application.
If somebody may have a question during the testimony, so you have to let a non-signee ask a question that came up.
Yeah, okay, I'll work with that later.
There's
Okay.
a sign-in sheet for traffic also,
Yeah.
and for comments.
I'll let them know if we get to that point. Okay. All right, with that being said, public hearing, PB 2025-G, 23 Main Street, Urban Renewal LLC. The applicant, 23 Main Street, Homedale, New Jersey, Block 13, Lot 15, has applied to the board for the property located at, which is the former Vonage headquarters, the property, and which is owned by 23 Main Street Propco LLC, an affiliate of the applicant, for preliminary and final major subdivision, preliminary major site plan, and final major site plan for Phase 1, known as Azura at Homedale. Okay, with that being said, I will turn over the mic to the applicant.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Carl Kem on behalf of the applicant, and just to give a brief summary where we stand before we begin. As you noted, this is the former Vonage property. It's subject to the Vonage headquarters redevelopment plan. As you noted, Mr. Chairman, the application before the board, the subdivision, the preliminary site plan, the final site plan conforms with the redevelopment plan. We need no variance relief. We do need one design exception, which we are withdrawing. The one design exception we needed was for the height of a few of the light poles on the property. The plan requires a maximum light pole height of 24 feet. We were proposing a few at 30. We will withdraw that, and all the light poles will be 24 feet in compliance to the plan. So what's before the board is a 100% conforming application. We have provided the testimony already of our site engineer, our architect, Mr. Volker, seated to my right, who is involved with the permitting of the wastewater treatment plant. After that witness, we will have our traffic engineer. As you indicated, Mr. Chairman, the testimony of Mr. Volker on the wastewater treatment plant is for informational purposes, and same with our traffic engineer, as this is a permitted use. The hearing, this is our third night here. We were here on September 30th, November 10th. And unless there's anything further preliminarily, we'll pick up with questioning of Mr. Volker.
Okay, okay, you want to?
Thank you.
Yeah.
So I guess we just go to the public. Mr. Volker, you understand you're still under oath?
Yes.
Well, yeah.
And
I do.
our professionals are still under oath as well. Ed, I know you're here. Is all your team, they were here last time? Yes. Okay, so everyone on our side is still under oath.
Do you have anything to add with your witness, or?
No, my understanding, we were just going to pick up with whatever
Right.
public questions were left for this witness that have not already been asked.
I would like to just ask our professionals to just, just sort of summarize everything as well from their standpoint on this application.
Sure. May I get the microphone? Thanks, Sean. Okay. Hi, everybody. Good evening. For those who don't know, I'm Kate Keller. I am the board planner. I just want to give a brief summary of where we are so far from a planning perspective. As the chair mentioned and as Mr. Kem just mentioned, this application is subject to the Vonage redevelopment plan. Just as a brief history, this site was declared an area in need of redevelopment in 2024. And in late 2024, the ordinance that became the Vonage redevelopment plan was introduced by the Township Committee. Almost exactly a year ago, December 14th, 2024, this board and the township planner who authored the redevelopment plan, Kendra Lilly, made a determination that this was consistent, not inconsistent with the redevelopment plan, and that's required under municipal land use law. So this board initially reviewed this plan last year and determined that it was not inconsistent, and then it was followed up with it was at second reading, it was passed as an ordinance of the Township of Homedale. At this point, we have reviewed the application. We've reviewed several revisions to the plans before it was heard by this board, and we have a letter from my office dated, I believe, September 24th, 2024, in which we indicate that we believe that this is also consistent with the redevelopment plan. We reviewed it from the planning perspective. We looked at, how it meets different standards of that, and generally, for what is being proposed now, which is again preliminary approval for the entire site and final approval only for phase 1, which means that we have not thoroughly reviewed the rest of the phases because the applicant has not applied for that yet for final approval. In our opinion, it is consistent with the redevelopment plan and therefore with the master plan. I just offer this as background because, from our perspective, we had identified the one waiver for the lighting, but we have a fairly limited review of this due to the fact that it is conforming with the plan. So, we've heard most of the testimony thus far. We have not heard the traffic testimony yet. Again, this is a permitted use, and per municipal land use law and case law, is that when an applicant when the township committee makes a use permitted, as they have in this case, it's determined that the traffic is acceptable, essentially. It's a more articulate way to put it, but that's really just how that is intended to be heard. So that, again, the traffic testimony will be given tonight. There will be an opportunity to ask questions. We have our own traffic expert here to represent the board as well. That's really just where I am from this standpoint of planning review. I'm happy to answer any questions from the board as the night goes on with regards to, content of what we've heard already. Obviously, there's engineering experts, there's traffic experts for the other questions, but in terms of the overall compliance of the redevelopment plan, the process of the redevelopment plan, and how this conforms, I'm happy to discuss.
Thank you.
Good evening, members of the board. Craig Herman, the board engineer from PSNS. We prepared a review dated September 26, 2025 that looked at the overall site plan, specifically grading and the drainage and the utility portion of the project, particularly as it relates to phase 1. We also summarized what would be needed for final site plan for the rest of the phases. As Kate had indicated, all of that information has not been provided yet. As far as my comments in section F of my letter for the sanitary sewer utilities, the actual upgrade of the sanitary sewer package plant was going to be performed by the township engineer, who's also here tonight. However, it's based off of the testimony from the applicant. All those upgrades will be performed in accordance with all the New Jersey DEP requirements. And at the end of the day, all approvals will be needed by from the DEP prior to any issuance of any C of O to meet the resolution, the requirements of the resolution and any conditions that are put on the project. In addition to that, we provided some comments related to the sanitary sewer conveyance system, which in this case, the proposal is to keep the conveyance system essentially as it was in the original condition, where everything went to a pump station via gravity sewer, and then from the pump station through I believe it was a 4-inch force main to the package treatment plant. And in our comments, we indicate to properly inspect and perform any cleaning and visual inspections, including cameraing of the lines, to make sure everything is in workable order.
Thank you.
I just have one more thing to add, which is on behalf of, so because this is a redevelopment plan, there was a provision in the redevelopment agreement where the township committee and their professionals also reviewed these plans prior to, they were not allowed to come to the planning board, the applicant, until it was determined by the township committee and its professionals, which are different than your board professionals, so it's like an extra layer of review, that the project conformed with the redevelopment plan. And this is a letter dated July 25th, 2025. It's signed by Andrew Bayer, who is the township's redevelopment special counsel. And this states that township engineer, township planner, township attorney, his office had reviewed the application and found it consistent with the redevelopment plan and the redevelopment agreement and authorized it to come to this planning board. So that was a necessary step per the redevelopment agreement. So that's also, just in terms of how this has come to be and how this has come before this board. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Ed Herman from T&M Township Engineer. Just to outline our role in this, as previously stated, our role was to review the existing packaged wastewater treatment plant in terms of its viability for continued reuse within the confines of the DEP permitting that's of record. So we had been working through the original phases with the township and with all of the professionals to get to the point where we could recommend to the committee that it was appropriate to execute a redevelopment agreement under the context of what was previously approved for the DEP permitting and the treatment plant. At that moment in time, that was really talking about the proposed uses with the number of units and things of that nature to demonstrate how that would be consistent with the obligations of the DEP approval. There were a couple different communications back and forth with the developers team, my office, and other offices and stakeholders. Ultimately, the plan that got submitted slightly was a little bit different. I know there was an open question last time, so some of the record that was involved was not given to the planning board, as it was work product that was through the redevelopment process with the applicant and various stakeholders before it got to the planning board. At the end of the day, the submission that was made, we reviewed in our September 30th letter. So that's of record. The planning board has that file that was publicly available. And that demonstrated by way of bedroom counts and things, ultimately where their flows would be generated. I think there were a few questions that came up about the phase 4 limit exceeding the 40,000 gallon per day. I think it was clearly spelled out last time, both in our letter, the applicant's communications, and the testimony that we heard last time, that the phase 4 obligation, they would have the ability to do empirical data, flow data throughout the process as permitted under DEP rules. I believe it's a rolling 12-month review. So the argument made last time by the applicant was that the flow information as calculated by the sewer code of the state of New Jersey is largely very conservative, not taking into account some of the more modern flow control fixtures and things that you would experience. So the expectation is that, so let's just say phase 1, for instance, has about 20,000 gallons of flow. Jordan, is that accurate, roughly? So roughly half of that flow would be for phase 1. So after phase 1 gets operational, they'll have a period of time where they can assess the flow determine ultimately if, okay, it says 20,000 is what would be calculated. We're seeing, pick a number, 15,000, whatever that number is, they're entitled to now use that under the DEP criteria moving forward to evaluate the total flow for the project. Their expectation is that after phase 3, they'll know phase 3 takes them to slightly shy of the 40,000 number, 39 and change, I believe. So the expectation there is that they'll be able to reevaluate on that rolling basis where they are at that moment in time. So while on paper it represents that they're going to be at 45,000 gallons per day, they will not be allowed to do that without providing backup documentation through the DEP approval process, and certainly they would have to come back, right? So if they need anything above the existing permitted allowance of 40,000 gallons per day, they would have to come back to all of the stakeholders for additional approvals. They would have to do a major amendment to their DEP permitting. So everyone would see that coming. There's no way that would get anywhere close to being able to be approved without multiple agencies looking at it, without the public being aware of it, and have an opportunity to weigh in on any concerns about it. So I just wanted to kind of clarify that. So our role literally was to sort of help them navigate, understand, and report back to everyone these factors. So I think that's what we did. So just that's where we stand today. That ultimately that's the process, and that the expectation is that they will have to fully comply at all points in time with the DEP obligation of the pre-existing 40,000 gallon per day limits. All of their effluent will have to be treated to water quality standards that are regulated heavily by DEP. I know there were a number of questions last time about, well, what are we doing? Why is the water going here? Why is the water going there? Everything that leaves their treatment plant has to meet the DEP water quality standards, whether it's going directly to the stream at the certain times of year where it goes to the stream, and the other half of the year, plus or minus, when it goes to the lagoon. Everything leaving that treatment plant is fully treated to the standards. So there is no discharge of anything. There's no effluent being directly discharged into either the lagoon or the stream directly that hasn't met all of the treatment train and the approval process, which is closely monitored. There will be a licensed operator responsible for the site to make sure that all the flows are within standard and that all of the quality limitations are being met. They have to report that to DEP on a very regular basis, at least monthly, I believe. So, that will be of record. So there's no pulling fast ones on anybody here. This literally will be heavily regulated, monitored. DEP will have things to say, and ultimately DEP will control those limitations. There could be a time in the future where, based on background information that they have, they find that they want to change those rules to be even more stringent. They could do that. If they do that, the applicant would be bound and obligated under the terms of their permit to meet those new quality standards, whatever those could be. I don't think I've ever encountered anything where they would reduce the quality of the standards. They would only increase the obligations on a developer. So if the DEP notified them and said, hey, we're going to change this, and you therefore need to come up with a new addition to your treatment train or some other mechanism to now comply with the new standards that they could impose on them at any time. So that's kind of the high-level summary. Hopefully I didn't go too deep into that, but that's kind of where we are. I think it was helpful to just sort of get that out there. I didn't really get a chance to speak too much last time. I was sort of trapped a little bit, but so I'm closer to the microphone tonight.
All right, thank you. And at this time, I just want to have Marty here talk as the attorney to just let everyone know if the applicant has a total conforming plan and they're not asking for a variance or a waiver, what are the ramifications to the town if the board were to vote no?
Yeah, so as Kate mentioned, the town has a redevelopment attorney, Andy Baer, who's not here, but I did speak to him. So we have a preliminary, it's not final yet, but there's an agreement with Fair Share Housing and the stakeholders for our round 4 obligation. This is one of the sites that's in that agreement. So if this agreement were to be denied, it would obviously throw the whole agreement out, and somebody could challenge it. It could be there's somebody already challenging it now. They could file a builder's remedy or some challenge to the agreement. The applicant could do the same, and they could build essentially whatever proposal they want to build at that time, at that site or any other site. So it's a big ramification for the town as far as meeting their affordable housing obligation for round 4.
Okay. Okay, with that being said, at this time, I guess.
Scott,
Yeah.
We have a council, oh, I'm sorry.
You want to say something?
Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry. Please go ahead, Mr. Mann.
I was not here last time, but I just want to say I did review the tape, so I am up to speed on everything, and I am completely aware, I have some questions from last week. I'm completely aware that this meets all DEP regulations. That's a given. I get that. My question is to you, Mr. Volker. If I was lucky enough to have a plot of land this large, and I wanted to build 300 units, and I wanted to hire you, would you recommend that I build the type of wastewater treatment plant that is currently on the site?
I would object to the question. We're not here to answer hypothetical questions. We have a plant, we have an upgrading it. There could
I
be-
understand it meets all DEP regulations. I understand
But there's
that.
multiple ways to build it. It's very detailed on the use. We need a set of plans for Mr. Volkler to review to answer that question. And again, with all due respect, Mr. Emma, he's not here to answer hypothetical questions. And that's a hypothetical question.
Can I ask our engineer the same question? Mr. Craig Herman, if I was to own a piece of property and wanted to build 300 units, would you suggest that I use 50-year-old plus technology with an open-air cesspool to treat my wastewater?
So I would ask for Mr. Herman.
I was going to ask Mr. Ed Herman the same question after I asked Mr. Craig Herman.
Again, it depends on the situation. That's a difficult question to answer because it depends on the situation, what best fits that project. So if it meets the DEP regulations, that is an option that can be designed and approved.
So you would suggest that discharging treated water, which meets all regulations, would be the best option in 2026?
I'm saying you have to see the project and what the characteristics of that project are, and then you deal with I can't say yes or no. I would suggest it. It depends on the project.
Mr. Ed Herman, could I have your opinion if I hired you as my wastewater consultant? Would you suggest a setup such as what the applicant is proposing?
I mean, I think it's a little bit of an unfair question because it's site-specific. At the end of the day, you're required to meet the effluent discharge limitations of DEP. So, I mean, short of that, I would caution the phraseology that you used about an open-air cesspool. I don't think that's the correct terminology.
Open-air lagoon?
It's a lagoon that is servicing fully treated water to the standards of the discharge pipe from the system.
Okay, let me,
Cesspool has a completely different connotation under the site individual.
my
septic
apology,
standards.
I'll take that word back. But
Cesspool would be completely untreated,
In-
basically a holding tank, for lack of a better term, that would discharge directly to the ground with no treatment. That's not what this is.
I understand. I apologize for the word,
No problem.
the C word. Would you suggest that this would be the best technology today?
It would seem the answer you're looking for, Mr. Emma, is that could there be different technology? Sure. Is there different technology available on this application? The answer is probably not. They have a valid, viable means of treating effluent to meet the standards of the DEP, which is the authority having jurisdiction here.
Thank you.
And if I also note, we're not using outdated methodology or equipment. All the equipment is being upgraded and it will meet all current standards. DEP will review it to make sure it does. And additionally, to pick up on the earlier comments of the board professionals giving the summaries, in addition to being under DEP jurisdiction, complying with all the regulations in our permits, we've already agreed we will not exceed the 40,000 gallons per day. If we're not able to meet that, we will curtail Phase 4, however needed to be curtailed, so we don't exceed that. Additionally, we're required under the redevelopment agreement with the town to cooperate with the township engineer. To date, all the information he's asked for, we've provided, we've cooperated. We have an ongoing obligation under the redevelopment to keep him advised, to provide information he needs to review it, to ensure that at all times that the project is meeting the standards required by DEP and there's sufficient capacity. So those are already baked into the redevelopment agreement, and our client is legally required to do that and has been doing that.
Okay, Ron? Okay. Okay, I guess I'll allow this gentleman up to speak first.
Ron?
Ron?
Do you want to,
You
Ron,
wanna-
do you want to introduce yourself, or?
And just also let us know who you are representing
Okay,
exactly.
surely. My name is Ron Gazarovski. I'm an attorney with offices in Red Bank, New Jersey. I represent Kristen Solaro, who is an interested party, also a resident of your municipality. I represent Kristen Solaro, who is an interested party, as well as a citizen of this community. Oftentimes, when an attorney appears
Which,
at a
who-
hearing,
Who's the other person?
I'm sorry,
You said Christian Salabo. that's
Who's
all
the
she
other
said.
person? There's two people, you said?
I just represent Kristen Solaro.
All right.
Okay. Oftentimes, when an attorney appears at a hearing such as this, he's referred to as an objective attorney. I don't think I am an objective attorney. I represent a person who's a resident of this community, a person who is living nearby, and what we are seeking to do is to have this applicant comply with all of the standards of your community, and perhaps if they're seeking some type of relief, that's what we're here to decide.
So do you have any questions for them, or that's all you have? Counselor? Is that it? That's your whole?
No, it's not. I mean, I don't, you
Oh.
asked me to introduce myself.
Oh, yeah, well, I'm giving you the mic to,
Let's take a step back.
yeah.
You asked me to introduce myself, and I have. It's my understanding
You have to talk into the mic.
that
or they won't
as
hear
of... Right over here, okay. It's my understanding that the applicant, at this particular point, has not completed his application. I intend to cross-examine him with regard to any testimony he's giving this evening. I also have two witnesses who are having a background with regard to the nature of this application. And when this applicant completes his case, I will present those two witnesses, going specifically into some of the issues raised by one of the board members.
Well, if that has to do with the wastewater,
Yes.
then that's the time, because after this gentleman's done, we're going to go to the traffic.
I understand that. So
Okay.
if you're asking me, do I wish to ask him some questions? Yes, I do.
All right, well, the floor is yours, so.
So remind him the testimony is done, so he should ask.
Yeah.
Good evening. My understanding with regard to the existing facility, which was there, it has not been in use, I believe, to perhaps 10 or 15 years ago. Is that correct?
That's correct. That's already been testified to.
Well, I understand that, but I wasn't here, so I'm just
But,
simply...
but
I'm
with all due
simply
respect,
asking the
Mr.
question.
Gazarovski, it was testified to. We're not here to repeat testimony. We're asked to hear specific questions. So that was testified to. Yes, the plant has been closed for a number of
Okay,
years.
my
We
understanding-
agree to comply with DEP standards. We agree to not exceed 40,000 gallons per day. If there's any other questions,
I understand all of that. So my question is, the last time that this particular wastewater facility was operating was approximately, what, 20 years ago or 15 years ago?
Jordan,
That-
approximately
That's incorrect. The plant's only been closed for about a year since the Vonage building was vacated.
Since 8 years?
Just over a year.
Pardon me?
Just over a year. It was operating a little over a year ago.
Okay. Now, with regard to the upgrading, it's my understanding that, in fact, you had two choices to make. One be upgrading the existing facility, or secondly, to construct a completely new facility in accordance with all of the standards of the NJDEP, correct?
what decision we made is irrelevant. We're upgrading the facility. It's in accordance with all the DEP standards.
Well, you're upgrading a facility to accommodate one particular use, which is one part of the overall application. My understanding
That's
is-
incorrect.
Pardon me?
That's incorrect. Again, this was all testified to last month. The wastewater treatment facility will serve the entire project.
I thought there was a question posed as to whether it would serve the entire project or does portions of it.
It's been very clear through the testimony last time, it will serve the entire project. It's limited to 40,000 gallons per day, and if we have to scale back the project to meet that, then it's scaled back. This has been asked and answered multiple times last meeting.
All right, so it's your intention, even if in fact it had to accommodate in excess of 40,000 gallons per day, you will not construct a new facility, but rather you'll just simply scale back your project.
That's correct.
Okay. So when you're before the board this evening, and I read the notice talks in terms of getting preliminary and final site plan approval just as to phase one. Is that correct?
As the chairman indicated in our application provides, we are requesting preliminary and final subdivision, site-wide preliminary site plan, which is required by the redevelopment plan, and then we're asking for final site plan for phase one only. We will be back for site plans for phase 2, 3, and 4 when those are ready to be submitted to the board.
Okay. With regard to phases 2, 3, and 4, you're seeking site plan approval, but as of yet, you have not made a determination as to whether or not even the upgraded facility will accommodate the needs of phases 2, 3, and 4.
That's not correct. As been discussed ad nauseum last meeting and as discussed tonight by the professionals in the room, we have sufficient capacity to get us through most of phase 4. And if the actual flows allow us to have phase 4 fully completed within the 40,000 gallons in accordance with all DEP regulations, then that's what will happen. We will see when that time comes.
Can you tell me one reason why, given the size of this project and the relief you're seeking, why you're not simply constructing a new wastewater plant in accordance with the standards of the NJDEP?
We're rehabilitating an existing plan in accordance with all DEP regulations and existing permits. We don't have to make a choice. We have the ability to do that, and that's what is being done.
As of this date, has the modified or changed wastewater plan been fully engineered?
It's not been fully engineered as of this date. It's been conceptually designed.
When you talk in terms of conceptually designed, my understanding would be a concept is nothing more than what you'd like to do. There is no data to show that it will in fact work.
I don't think we have that level of engineering at this point, but it will be done and it will be included with our DEP
Well,
submission, and
since-
DEP will review
well,
it and approve it.
Okay, since you are before this board and you were seeking final approval with regard to phase 1, and listening to the testimony of you, it seems as if you're almost accommodating the entire site. Why would you not, before coming before this board, have that particular facility fully engineered so that it can be reviewed by the board engineer, and we're not just talking in terms of concept or conceptually?
Because it's not something this board has jurisdiction over, it's under DEP jurisdiction. Just like any other outside agency approval, we will need to apply to that agency and get their approval. If that makes any changes to our site plan, by law, we will be back before this board.
Well,
This is how this happens every day of the week with every application throughout the state. There's no requirement that we have all of our approvals in place before we come here.
That's not completely true. You're before this board, you were seeking relief. and
We're seeking no relief.
You were-
How many
you were-
times do we have to explain this? There is zero relief. We comply with every single solitary requirement of the redevelopment plan. The board planner has confirmed that. We've withdrawn the design waiver for the height of a light pole was the only thing we were requiring. We withdrew that. We are 100% conforming. There is zero relief required.
But you are not conforming because you have not, as of this date, engineered your wastewater treatment plan. So how
That's-
can you say you're fully conforming?
Mr. Chairman, this is
Yeah,
just being
I mean,
thrown in for purposes of creating chaos.
Yeah, I
Mr.
mean-
Mr. Gazarovski should be aware of what the law states and how this works. We all know how it works, and this is not how it works.
If he puts,
It'll be a condition of approval,
Yeah.
just like any other application.
if he puts pen to paper and it turns out it doesn't comply, then they're not going to be able to build it. It's as simple as that.
Well, having said that, what you're really doing, and respectfully, if this is for a site plan approval, and whatever you're building, you should be able to show to the board that what you're building and proposing will comport with the
No,
existing
that's-
rules and regulations.
All right, okay, all right, continue.
I have no further questions at this point.
Okay.
But just so we're clear, with regard to this submission, the engineering for the wastewater plant and the renovations to it have not been submitted to this board. Is that correct?
Some information has been provided to the township engineer, but again, it's not been fully engineered.
Okay. Is there any reason why it has not been fully engineered?
That's the path the applicant chose to take. It happens all the time. You get certain approvals, you finish certain
Well, would
projects,
you
and
agree
you
with
move
me
forward.
that this board, if it so chooses, can request that it be fully engineered?
This board has no legal jurisdiction, as you should be well aware as a licensed attorney, to do that. That would be violating my client's rights.
Thank you. I have no further.
Okay, well,
If we're, Mr. Chairman, if we're still going to stay on the subject of the treatment plant, I have a couple of questions.
sure, go ahead, Tom, if you want to say something, before I call the public.
You probably can't answer these questions, but who's the responsible if this plant breaks down in a year, or 2 years, or 4 years from now?
The property owner is responsible for the plant forever. Today, tomorrow, 50
All
years from now.
damages.
All damages. It's their plant, it's not the town's. I know there was discussion last time about is there any exposure or liability to the township. There is zero liability or exposure to the township. This is solely the property owner's responsibility.
And do we have a backup plan if this plant breaks down?
I don't believe there's a backup plan for the plant breaking down.
Well, hold on a second, Ed, wasn't there something about this happened somewhere else where something broke
Yeah, I
down?
mean, listen, typically the applicant is required to maintain the system fully operational. If there was a catastrophic failure, they would be obligated to provide hauling trucks to come in to take the effluent as it comes in and whatever that looks like. I've seen that in other towns in the area where they had a breakdown, and in one particular case, they had a 24-inch force main that got hit by a contractor and was therefore spewing black gold. They literally had to shut the pump station down. They brought in something like 4 or 5 septic, big hauling trucks that they literally just sat there and had to pump all the effluent that was coming down the pipeline into the pump station, had to be carried away in the trucks and disposed of at a legal means in another location until they got the problem fixed. That's typically how you would resolve, you know, let's call it a catastrophic failure of some sort. The obligation is on them to have a plan of attack. If, you know, X happens, here's the plan of attack. Like
Right.
any other OEM would do at any town, anybody that's doing, you know, this type of work has to understand, okay, if something in the treatment train completely breaks down, stops working, and we're at the point where we're gonna have sewage overflowing the building, they have to be prepared and ready to address that, you know, 24/7 and get, you know, on site to fix the problem,
Just like any other one,
just like
personally.
any other owner would do.
Right, and if something happens, and they have to spend $100 million to fix it, then that's on them to have to fix. Excuse me, please don't interrupt.
That's all well and good, but you can't get those trucks in the snap of your fingers, and everything that's going to be overflowing will be headed to Swimmin' River. In my past life, I built a whole lot of, I supervised a whole lot of treatment plants in Manhattan, Brooklyn, and Red Hook. They had the luxury of bypassing it to the Hudson River or New York Bay. Homedale doesn't have that luxury.
Well, I believe that's why they have the trucks you're talking about, right?
Well, I mean, there's an equalization tank in the beginning that would provide some float. So a catastrophic failure is not just going to happen and nobody's going to know about it for 5 days and sewage is going to be flowing into the creek.
And if there was a new, and I'm just being devil's advocate. If there was a new system up, couldn't the same catastrophic failure
Yes.
occur if there was a brand new system?
Likely not, but
But
could it
still could happen, sure.
Anything could happen.
Anything could happen.
Could get struck
Yeah.
by a meteor. And,
That's right.
you know, fill in
Anything
the
could
blank.
happen.
Yes. I think we need to be
Because if-
practical in the what you're asserting, right? I mean, so yes, anything could happen anywhere, but there's redundancy built into these systems. There are management plans that are specifically earmarked for these types of situations. So that
And
you
it's
can
and it's
address-
maintained, and they have the
Maintenance
licensed
and-
professional there
correct.
that's monitoring the system, right? So,
That's correct, Mr. Chairman. We were required under the redevelopment agreement to have a licensed operator at all times. We've testified that to
Right.
last meeting that we will have a licensed operator running the facility. We've already been in touch with one.
Yeah, go ahead, TJ.
Is there some type of system or alarm or some fail-safe that would let the operator know that something's gone awry?
Yes, the tanks within the system all have level sensors, so you would know well in advance if there was going to be any type of exceedance. So there would be ample time to get the trucks in to start to pump the sewage out, especially at the flow coming into this facility. So there would be definitely ample time to do that, and definitely ample alarms going to the operator. The type of SCADA systems that these have, it can dial up a phone, it can go through an app to somebody's cell phone, so you get immediate notification.
But there will be somebody on site 24 hours a day is, I believe, what you testified to?
Not on site. They're not required to be on site, but they are responsible to be responsive, and they have to come to site. I believe it's once a day to check on the facility, but they would get those alarms even throughout the night, and they're responsible to take care of them even in the middle of the night.
Thank you.
Okay, so at this point, did you want to call your witnesses that you said you brought?
No,
Oh,
we're
no?
gonna do questions first.
Oh, for questions? Oh, okay. All right, so at this point, I mean, people signed the wastewater sheet with traffic stuff, but I'm going to try and ask you to come up, and we're going to limit you to 3 minutes. So just please try to ask the questions as succinctly as possible. The first person is Martin Judd. If I'm saying that right, come up and just state your name and address.
My name is Martin Judd. I reside in Middletown Township. I'm also a member of the Middletown Township Environmental Commission. The one question I have is that since the redevelopment agreement approves the eventual transfer of the plant to the condominium association or condominium board, it was stated earlier that the township has absolutely no liability if the system fails. But if the system failed and the condominium board did not have the financial wherewithal to fix it and arrest the discharge, would the fact that the township signed and approved that transfer possibly subject them to liability? Maybe that's a question for the attorney.
That's a question for the town attorney, but unless Mr. Kem has any other information on that redevelopment agreement, which I was not part of, so I don't.
It doesn't address that situation. There's nothing that we can do to prevent that from happening. They would be responsible for it, and if not, DEP would most likely come in and take care of it, and then probably collect against the owners, and they could even take the property to pay it if they need to reimburse themselves. But again, these are not issues for the planning board to be discussing. They have no jurisdiction over this. It's not a basis of the application.
I understand that, and if there's a comment period later, because it isn't.
Yeah, there'll be comments later.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. Next is Victoria. Please state your name and address.
Victoria Scottolivino, 8 Hidden Hollow Terrace in Homedale. I was here about a year ago when this came up with the planning board, and I heard Mr. Silberman then too. I'm surprised that we're pushing this through very quickly, and yet over a year, we still did not get an outside third party to look at the water situation. Internal board member this, board member that, town engineer, town this, town that. External, third party. When
Is
you
there-
buy
is there a question?
My question is why? I brought this up with the town council as well, and I asked, when are you doing this? So that the planning board has something to look at. They took note, and here we are. So my question is why? There are clearly so many questions, even here skirting some of the way we're answering. It is an old, antiquated system. I still don't understand what you are doing as a planning board. Yes, you are meeting the, how you started off. We are here to determine that is consistent with the plan. You're also here to represent the residents so that we don't get poisoned. I'd like to know when you're bringing in a third party. That's my question.
Well, I don't know how to answer that question. That's beyond
I asked
us.
the town council to send this
Well,
down
you need
you.
to speak to the town council or the Department of
This is the
Environmental
game.
Protection.
This
No,
is the game.
this isn't a game, miss.
It clearly is, because I was there last week, and I asked specifically.
Miss, let me explain something to you. When
Please
it
do.
comes to wastewater treatment in the
Yes.
state of New Jersey,
Yes.
there's one regulatory body, the Department of Environmental Protection. They govern everything. They have to comply with them. You got 9 volunteers here who aren't wastewater treatment experts. That's what the DEP is for. They're going to ensure that your wastewater is properly protected. That's their role. It's got nothing to do with us up here.
It is a grandfathered,
It's got nothing to do with this board. That's it, if that's your only question.
I'm gonna, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Next is, I don't know, something, who's at 43 River Road in Rumson? I don't know. Rachel Davis, okay.
Yeah,
Name and address, please.
sure. Rachel Davis. I'm speaking on behalf of my employer for East River Road in Rumson, Water Spirit. One of my questions was who.
I would object. If that's a company, they have to be represented by a lawyer. You cannot speak on behalf of the company.
It's a nonprofit organization that is based in the
It's
county.
it's not a individual person. It's a legal entity.
You can speak for yourself, but you can't speak.
Great. So I'll speak for myself. I am a resident of the county as well. I live in Manalapan. So I was asking about the sort of culpability when if and when contamination happens or the worst case scenario happens, if it's not upgraded. So thank you for somewhat answering that, I guess. And I guess I would ask, is it common knowledge that there are violations against this wastewater treatment plant in existence already, that there's a history of violations?
It was
Is
all
everyone
discussed
aware about
last
it?
meeting.
Great. So what happens when effluent is sprayed on this lagoon? What happens after that happens to the air, to everyone breathing it in, to the soil?
This has been asked and
Yeah,
answered
this-
a number
yeah.
of times last meeting and is under DEP jurisdiction.
I appreciate that. It's still very unsettling as a resident of the county that these are the questions that majority of people aren't at these meetings, don't even know that they're happening. So while I appreciate
Well,
that was asked,
They're all
before-
they're all advertised. The videos are available for view. I mean, we just can't sit here and rehash
absolutely,
things that
and
were
we
discussed
will
already.
discuss with my organization. Will contact DEP about
Yes.
that level of.
I would advise you to,
scrutiny.
because they are the regulatory agency. So
Thank you.
yes. Okay. Is there the other sign-in sheet there? I saw other people signing the sheet there. Is there more people that want to discuss this? All right. Well, anyway, I got Mr. or Miss O'Brien. Thank you.
I am Jean O'Brien and live on Gales Court, which is fairly close to the developmental property.
Yeah, come closer to the mic, please.
I know that was raised at the last meeting, but I'm not clear on the answer. It had to do with the perk test. You said it had not been done yet. And I just want to know why it hasn't been done. You seem to indicate yourself that it was required, that they had to get approval first.
I did not, no, I did
Can-
not
Can
say
you
that.
explain then why a perk test hasn't been done so that it can support the 40,000 gallons?
That is part of our permitting process and information provided DEP. There will not be a single unit on this property occupied before DEP approves the wastewater treatment plant. So the fact that it hasn't been accomplished yet is not of moment.
Has that property ever been pushed to the 40,000 in the past?
We do not know that.
Okay. Matt Weisfield? Weisfeld? Going once, twice, is he here? All right, we have Peter Franco. Well, Junior, did you speak last time? Yeah.
Peter Franco, Seniors, 5 Hopbrook.
Mr. Franco testified,
Yes.
asked questions last
Yes, I
time.
did, and
Yeah.
you did as well. And I have
Well,
to correct- I have to
well-
correct something. I have evidence I want to submit.
You have what?
Evidence I'd like to submit.
Y-
All right. All right.
Yeah, I would let him
The
go
last
through
time I was
through
here.
this.
Yeah, okay,
I
so just
questioned-
go ahead, just go
I
through.
questioned the engineer if he had any evidence at all, or any knowledge at all about violations. They said no. I just found 177.
Is this a question?
177 enforcement actions, violations which totaled $146,650
Yeah, is there a question? Because that's before
Yes.
they own the property.
How come you didn't find
Wait, if I
Excuse
may,
me.
I don't argue that you found that and those exist. We discussed this multiple times.
You said no.
can I finish speaking?
Okay.
We discussed this multiple times last meeting. We are aware that there are violations in the past. The violations are irrelevant because it is being completely rebuilt. It is going to be re-reviewed and by DEP to ensure it meets all the standards. So the fact that there were violations doesn't matter because that was in the past. The plant has been shut down. It's going to be rebuilt, rehabbed, modernized, and DEP will review it and permit it. So the fact that there's violations in the past don't matter. One, two, we did explain last time we were aware of them.
Yes, but
We
last
didn't say
time-
that we were not aware of them.
Last time you said you were gonna rebuild it was gonna be grandfathered under 1977 rules.
No, that's
No,
incorrect.
That's not what he said.
I have it on the recording.
You can have what you want, but what we,
No,
s-
what
what
he
we
said is
said,
they're
what we
rehabbing it to
said,
today's
and,
standards.
and I'll reiterate,
No, I don't need it.
You don't need it?
No.
T&M? Do you
No.
need it? It's a list of the performance.
No, no, thank you.
And also the effluent that was dropped
You
into.
may give them to Irina, she'll put them in the file.
Also, one other thing, I asked another question to the attorney, actually to the engineer. I said, if this plant was gonna operate so well, if they would put up a bond. He turned around and said, absolutely not. It turns out it's in the developer's agreement that they do post a bond. So somebody doesn't know what they're talking about. I have
Well-
it right in front of me as well.
Well, I can assure you if it's in the development agreement, they will
Right.
do
and
whatever
he
in the
said
agreement.
no bond, they were not gonna put it
All right,
up.
well, we're here to tell you that if there's something in the redevelopment agreement that requires him to have a bond, then he's gonna have to provide one.
All right,
As
last
simple as
question
that.
I'm gonna ask that was not covered before. How about the air quality? From the treatment, from the aeration, from also the evaporation of the lagoon, it was never spoken about. Air quality as well as the irrigation. I mean, you're gonna be irrigating this gray water right next to your own houses. Right over the road, that mist is gonna go right in, and I don't have to tell you what that gray water contains. I'm sure you know what it is from your own samples. What's gonna be done to stop the air from being polluting everything?
again, this is under DEP jurisdiction. Any air quality
I'm-
issues will be reviewed and approved
I mean,
by
any,
them.
any water that comes out and goes and gets
It's not water,
deposited.
It's air.
Yeah, but
Not addressed at all. I haven't heard anybody address it. TM, nobody has addressed this, and it is a very, very important item, and it's very serious. Okay, number one. All right, also, I'm
so,
sorry.
all right, that's, we're at 3 minutes now, sir.
All right, you also stated.
Sir, you're
that-
at 3 minutes. We let you have a
Okay,
second round of
I
questions.
have one more to ask your engineer. He stated just before that the plans of the disposal plant would also have to be under your review and approval. Did you
No.
not say that?
No, no.
You didn't say that it was part of the development, that they would also have to approve it besides the state?
They would see it as part of any
I would-
future obligations.
we
They don't have
do not-
approval authority over it.
We have no, I'm trying to be as clear as I can to
I know,
everyone.
and I'm trying, I am so.
No, I
upset
don't
about
think
it.
everyone does. I mean,
We're the guys that's gonna breathe this crap.
well, I'm gonna breathe it too if there's
No, you're
anything
not.
there.
You don't live next door. We do.
Actually, I do live
I'm
next.
sorry, I excuse myself. It's impossible.
Okay. What's that? Anyone, there's a junior, right?
He asked last time.
Yeah, and you asked too last time, but please try and keep it short. Yeah. Sir, do you represent him, or, because you seem to be talking to the Francos a lot. Are you representing the Francos? Yeah, well, you're a Franco, right? Oh, you're a Solero? Oh, now you're a Solero.
Peter Franco, 5 Hopbrook Lane. Question about the lagoon. If there was going to be some sort of spillway, you know, you're talking like 6 million gallons of black or gray water at that point. Before you guys put the no trespassing signs up all over the place, we were able to walk around there, and there is a erosion that's probably within 70 feet of that lagoon. And what we're scared of is if that essentially made its way to the lagoon, and say the lagoon did breach or whatever, it would 6 million gallons into the Willowbrook. Would there be some sort of a bulkhead to be put there to protect it? God forbid that was to breach, and essentially, you see the elevation difference. I think the bottom of the lagoon has got to be at least 6-7 feet above where the Willowbrook sits. that will empty. No matter how many trucks you bring in or you bring in, you're not going to be able to catch that in time. Will something like that, be put forth or even be thought about?
As we've testified before, we'll comply with all DEP regulations.
If there's something wrong, I would imagine if something's wrong with the embankment around the lagoon, it needs to be reinforced to rebuilt, or if there was some sort of bulkhead that was needed, I'm sure they'd have to comply with that to ensure that that type of situation didn't occur.
It just, I get it, but the whole going back to the DEP, it's just, it's that subpar it's like down here, we're up here, but it's just,
Well, it's not. It's like the IRS deals with your taxes, and we could discuss your taxes all you want, but they're the ultimate
I get it,
decider.
but you're going to take your family to California in a 1955 Chevy that's had nothing but problems, breaking down, going to every mechanic, and they can kind of fix it. Are you going to put your family in there saying,
No, if they
you
put,
know, I
if they
put new
put a whole
brakes on
new,
the
if they
car.
put a whole new engine in it and it's all rehabbed and refurbished and customized, then yeah, I would drive in my car.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, I was going to tell you. Anyone else? Does anyone else have any questions before I close?
I have a further comment to make, if I may.
Wait,
Not
you
that
got a
comment.
hand- You got a hand in the back.
Yes, miss.
Wait,
Come on
there's
up.
somebody in the back.
Yes.
Karen Strickland, 26 Hayward
Take
Hills
that
Drive.
off.
You can pull it out.
Karen Strickland, 26 Hayward Hills Drive. Actually, it's not on wastewater. It's on what Mr. Flager said about the affordable housing. Can I ask a question about that?
It's not, that's not us. You can ask the question, but.
Okay, the
it's
question- yeah.
Township,
Yeah.
Affordable Housing Council.
So, no, you said this whole process to me has been driven by this boogeyman of affordable housing. And from, I've come before you before and said, when we were talking about the redevelopment plan, we're going to be exactly where we are right now because this whole redevelopment plan has been driven by CHA and the plan was written for them. So it's not surprising that it meets their specifications because they were involved in doing it. But then, and it's always been affordable housing. We have a fear of affordable housing. And so you said, Mr. Flager, that if this project doesn't get approved, they will come and sue Homedale and Builder's Remedy. They can build anything they want. If
they
it's
could.
built,
They
yeah, but if
could.
it's Builder's Remedy, doesn't it have to go to a judge and a judge can decide if Homedale has,
Karen, all I said is somebody could then challenge our agreement with Fair Share and saying we didn't meet the obligation. And that opens the door, there's a challenger to that plan right now. That opens the door for them as well. So you have potentially the applicant as well as that objector to that plan, bring in some form of a suit to the plan itself and asking for relief, whether that be a builder's remedy relief or whatever they're looking for. This applicant could do that or could seek to just have the denial of the approval overturned. I mean, that's within their purview.
but since Homedale has met, round 3, has met every affordable housing obligation up to now, can't Homedale go to a judge? I mean, at some point a judge has to come in and say, oh, Homedale, you guys were negligent, or Homedale, Cold Snag was negligent and hadn't met their obligations. Homedale has been meeting its obligations. So can't we protect ourselves against these builder's remedies?
Well, I think, again, I don't want to speak out of turn. I'm not the expert. We have met what's required of us by coming up with the round 4 plan, which is, I think, I don't know if it's officially approved, but it's essentially, I think all parties believe it will be finally approved. I don't know if, Carl, you even know where that stands. But, so we have done that, you're right. And if you don't do it, we leave ourselves open. Now, if one of the projects gets denied or doesn't get built, it does then leave us open to a shortfall of 46 or 48, whatever credits we have here. And those credits, then, somebody can come in and look to say that we didn't meet our obligation.
But Marty, even with this, even with the 21 units, aren't we still short of our obligation?
Well, no, because they're building in phases, so as long as they comply with their phased plan, if they
Marty,
can't build phase 4,
If I may,
Yeah.
just really briefly, Karen, so the answer is that no. If the board denying this application does not mean that it does not go from point A to point B denial to builder's
Directly,
remedy.
yeah.
However, there is a process in place for the 4th round. It's different than previous rounds, and the townships, what they've done in prior rounds does not make a difference. And yes, there are judges involved. Currently, the township is in mediation with what's called the Affordable Housing Dispute Resolution Program. I am not part of that. I am not the township's affordable housing planner. I am speaking from a general procedural level about how it works over the state. However, when there are multiple challengers involved, as there are in Homedale and in many other municipalities, and the township does not keep up its end of the bargain, which in this case would be denying this application, then it puts the township at greater risk. That's all that I'm saying. And then part of that greater risk means that they may not get a certificate of compliance, which means that you're open up to builder's remedy lawsuits eventually. There's several different layers. There's retired judges as part of this mediation program. There's a Mount Laurel judge at the county level. Does not mean that the next day there will be builder's remedy, but it means that the township is not holding up what they have said they were going to do. So that's,
But
I
we
think, the
do-
short answer.
But we do have other places in Homedale that we could put affordable housing and not do this. But anyway, that's a comment for later. I don't think we should make decisions based on on threats of lawsuits.
Oh. All right, yes, whoever wants, young lady, you want to come up?
Thank you. Hi, is this close enough?
Yeah, you could pull it out if you want, if it's easier.
Very quick question.
Name and address, please.
Ellen Rubenstein, 10 Stillwell Drive, Homedale, for many years. So, excuse me if you said this last week, but we've been hearing this will be checked, that'll be checked, we'll make sure this meets regulations, the flow and all that. Who is actually doing the monitoring?
I'll let Craig answer.
Yes, so what'll happen as far as those other approvals is before we can get our building permits, once we finish with the planning board here, we'll go to whoever we need to go to. We need to go to DEP for the wastewater treatment plant. We have to go to Soil Conservation District for the soil removing. There's a number of other agencies aside from the town. And before we can get our building permits, we have to submit all that to the town professionals. They'll review to make sure we have all of our permits before we get our building permit. So there is a process in place to make sure everything we're saying we're going to do with another agency is taken care of.
Who is monitoring the volume of the effluent? Who is monitoring the water quality?
So the
Like, let's say, the approvals get done, you start, we're looking phase 1, et cetera.
Certainly.
Who is watching what's happening and coming up with the numbers that have to then meet the EPA regulations?
So there's a licensed operator who's licensed by DEP who's required to monitor that and reports to DEP, and DEP reviews that to make sure it's correct and it's meeting all the standards and quality and quantity, et cetera.
So that is a different party. It's not from the construction engineer and it's not from the township. It's an EPA person, independent.
Yeah, it's actually DEP. EPA is federal, it's DEP.
Yeah.
No, just so your understanding.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
so there is,
Okay.
again, there's a licensed operator who are required to have, who's licensed by DEP, and he provides his reports and they review it to make sure everything is operating correctly and properly.
Thank you.
You're
Thank you.
welcome.
Yes, come on up, sir.
Prakash Santana, 18 Barbera Drive, Homedale, former deputy mayor and former planning board member. 3 questions. Question number 1, you cannot use the affordable housing mandate as a crutch. Council, you probably know that Homedale Township is seeking a preliminary injunction to stop the affordable housing mandate with the federal judge. And therefore, if the federal judge approves that pause, then we don't have to comply with the federal with the COA obligation. So I hope you understand. I would like to ask how you're going to unwind the affordable housing component of this redevelopment plan. That's number 1.
Well, let's take them one by one.
Well, that's a township issue, and number 1. Number 2, there is a motion out there, but right now the township's governed by the current law, and they're proceeding, as was explained by the planner, where we are.
So why not wait for the mandate?
No. It's, It's the plan that the township has proceeded under, and the applicant is following what they're entitled to do. We have received an application.
So
We
let me-
just can't not hear an application that's been properly filed before us.
So let me make sure I understand that you don't care about the fact that you could potentially get an injunction, and as a result, you're going to continue with the current process.
That is a question for the township.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Township
You're talking to the
policy.
wrong people.
That's township
I understand,
policy.
I understand, I understand.
And you should know that.
Yes, I do know that.
Okay.
Number two, I want to ask a simple question. Under Code 2-79A, developer is required to file a political contribution disclosure statement with the township clerk at least 10 days prior to this public
Does this have anything to
hearing.
do with the wastewater?
I'm sorry, I thought we were digressing off to, I didn't know.
I
there
wasn't
was a
digressing anything. Is this anything to do with the wastewater?
It was not, but
I'm not talking to people back there. I'm talking.
But it's not directly related to the wastewater. It's related to the development. So if I'm allowed to ask later, I'll come back.
Yeah, you can make a comment if you want. But right now, we're taking questions on this witness.
So should I come back later?
I would. Yeah, you make a
I'd be
comment
happy
later.
to.
Okay. Well, this gentleman's coming up first. Irina, you're keeping track, right?
Hello, my name is Martin Donahue, 152 Heights Terrace, Middletown, New Jersey. I'm on the Environmental Commission for Middletown. And since the water that discharges from this facility makes its way to the Swimming River Reservoir, and that's where many of us have our drinking water coming from, it is of interest to us. Heard a couple of different things. I read, it was emailed to me by a colleague, turning over the management of a wastewater facility plant to a senior citizen
Is there a
center.
question? We have comments later if you have a question. I'd like to get through the
Um,
question portion first.
Okay, so to have an effect on this, is the NJDEP, Molly Jacoby, case manager is who we should speak to concerning whatever changes we want to put on the discharge from that wastewater treatment plant.
I don't know if you answer that one.
I don't know who the right person is to contact at DEP, but it's under DEP jurisdiction.
Molly is the person. I've already reached out to her. Okay, thank you.
Sure. Yes.
Hi, Bilge Yesil, 8 Clarkway, Homedale.
I'm sorry, could you spell your last name, please?
Yesil, Y-E-S-I-L.
Thank you.
So I hear you saying, like every time there's a question, you keep saying, like it's under DEP jurisdiction or it's not under the jurisdiction of the board. And then I hear, like some board members throwing like literally softball questions to this corporation and its representatives. And I'm just curious, why are we rushing this? Why are some of the board members are rushing this? What exactly is this going to bring to Holmdel, to us as the residents? And why do I have the sense that, why do I get the feeling just being here for the last hour that the board is, like siding with a corporation and not its residents and the safety of the environment?
Yeah, I'll answer that. I'll answer that. Yeah.
It is not a rhetorical question. So
No.
just please give us a specific answer. Thank
I
you.
will give you a specific answer. We're not rushing through anything. This was approved. This is a procedural meeting. We are here to rule on applications, whether they comply with the regulations that are in place. And at times, we have to rule if there's certain waivers or variances required. There is none. They have a fully conforming plan that meets the obligations or the requirements set by our design professionals, and they have to comply with the DEP and every other agency that has. You can put your hand down. I see you. Well, I'm going to finish answering your question. So, even if I felt this was the most ridiculous thing in the world, I can't vote on that way because they're not doing anything that's contrary to the rules and the laws that are in place. The same way that if you had an application or anyone else in this room was trying to do something, you would be under the same requirements as they are. So we're not rushing through anything. We just have an application before us that we didn't sign off on the application. It's presented. They're designing it in accordance with the rules and the regulations of the state. And there's nothing really for us to say. Believe me, the DEP is not going to allow pollutant water to go into your, well, if that's your concern, then you should take it up with the DEP. Yeah, okay. All right. Anyone, you want to have a follow-up question? Ma'am? Okay. I'm not answering truthfully, objectively. I'm answering as truthfully as I can.
So if you are just following, you know, like the procedures, right, and they're not doing anything wrong or dangerous or environmentally, you know, like suspicious or whatever, you're just here to, you know, like approve it. And here you have like how many citizens, and we're all concerned. And does it not occur to the members of the boards that, you know, like, wait a second, you know, like we have all these people who are raising concerns. Maybe we should, I don't know, hire, like you said, a third party and, you know, like look at this, you know, like in more detail. Like if, like, what is the rush?
Ma'am, there's no rush from our end of things. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't understand why people just can't understand this. You know, you sitting there, ma'am, I'm talking. You don't understand it. You just don't want to listen because I'm trying to explain to you that I'm trying to explain to you. I'm not. Yeah. Okay.
So just also so you know, once this application is deemed complete, it comes before the board. We have to act within a certain amount of time. So the board's just doing what it does for any other application. We didn't finish the first hearing, we rescheduled to a second, they consented. We rescheduled to a third, which is tonight's hearing. If we finish, there's gonna be a vote. If there's not, it's gonna be a fourth hearing. We had some hearings that go on for 13 hearings. We have some that finish in one. So it's just the process, and when they're done with their presentation and public comment and any other objectors, you know, witnesses, there'll be a final determination, whether that's tonight or some other evening. But we're following the process that we are required to follow.
And I'd like to also remind you that it's not us. We have our professionals. All our professionals have told us that everything is compliant. So I don't know what more you expect.
Yeah, I just want to make clear,
Yeah.
you know, this has come up a few times. You know, we are kind of the third party. We are hired. We are all Craig, TNM, myself. We are all consultants that are hired by the board in order to review applications on the township's behalf. This means that, you know, that is to protect the township and the citizens and the board from just listening to what the applicant has to say. You know, and in this case, you know, we review every application in depth. Sometimes they have a lot of variances, and we'll have letters that say that. In this case, this is one that did not. But, you know, this is the check, and this is a situation where there have been even more consultants reviewing it because it's on behalf of the township committee and on behalf of the board. So the board is not just taking even the township's committee's consultants at their word. They have their own. We are here for the board and for the residents of Homedale. So this is the check and balance.
Okay. All right. Anyone else want to come up? Yes.
Hi, I'm Lynn Leung. Is this working? From 7 Grandview Drive. I just want to first state that I'm here to represent a lot of families in Homedale. A lot of them cannot be here because of a lot of activities going on at the school.
Ma'am, you have to,
So
you have to speak for yourself, though, unfortunately.
Okay, but I'm also letting you know that I'm representing a lot of families in Homedale
Okay,
as well.
but
It's
you
not
gotta
just
speak for
myself, but a
yourself.
lot of people. Now, my question here is, are you guys aware that a deadly bacteria has been discovered in the water system in the Passaic County Hospital recently? I would be under the assumption that a hospital would be under the DEP regulation. So, yet this happened. So I'm just a little concerned if a hospital is having this issue and we're not going to hospital grade here in terms of the regulation.
Is there a question or is this a comment?
Well, are you guys aware of this
No.
bacteria infection?
No.
So this is something that I think we all need to seriously consider because it's scary. Obviously, I don't think any of us in here would like to die from bacterial infection. And you wouldn't think this would happen in a hospital. However, it did. You can look it up. Again, it's Passaic County Hospital. So it's a little scary. So, you know, I think all of us would be concerned, wouldn't we? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Can I ask you, Mr. Silverman, are you concerned if this were to happen to this town?
Of course I'd be concerned.
So would we want to look more heavily into these issues?
Well, I don't know what happened at Passaic, but, you know, I'm sure that whatever they build is going to build it in accordance with those rules and regulations. That's all we have to go on. We
Correct,
can't hold them to a higher standard, or we as a board can't sit here and dictate what they have to do. That's not what our role is.
Isn't your role to protect us, though?
No, that's not our role.
So what is your role?
Our role is to ensure compliance, and by complying with the rules and regulations that are in place, that is how we are protecting the community.
For the site plan.
For the site plan, yeah.
But wouldn't you agree that a hospital would be following DEP regulations?
Everyone has to follow DEP regulations.
But yet this happened.
Okay. I don't know. I don't know enough about that case. Maybe they did something wrong. Maybe they didn't monitor correctly. I can't speak about that.
But wouldn't you agree that this is pretty scary?
I mean, I thought I answered that. Are we at 3 minutes? Or is that it?
So,
I don't know what you people want me to say. So, next question.
I just want to make sure that we have a township committee that is concerned.
We are
about-
not the township committee.
Or whatever, our
Okay.
representatives, whoever.
We're representing the applicant as we would represent any applicant, and representing the town to ensure these people are complying with the rules that are in place. It's as simple as that.
Well, maybe we should start questioning what the rules in place are and if they are protecting us as a human race.
Well, that's a
That is
separate
protecting
issue.
us as
That is a
one.
separate issue. You are more than welcome to contact any government agency in this state and voice your concerns. And if they change the rules and regulations, then they're going to have to comply with those rules and regulations.
I also think that it's also the.
Is it a comment or a
responsibility
question?
of the town, perhaps, well, question these people and perhaps go on to the next level and question what we're doing as humans, as adults. Because I think we are all concerned
All right.
about the health of our children.
Okay. Is this a question or a comment? Because we got to
My
get this
question
meeting.
is, are we going to step it up as a town?
It's not for us. Yeah, I mean,
It's not what we're here for.
yeah.
Well, that's very disappointing because, you know, we elect people to help us. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Yeah.
Jay Yanello, 18 Ladwood Drive. From what I understand, the developer is able to transfer ownership of this wastewater plant to a third party, subject to township approval, subject to a bond. Do you know what that bond size would be?
I don't believe the redevelopment agreement has an amount of the bond.
It doesn't have an amount of the bond. Okay. How would that be negotiated? Just with the town?
I don't know what the exact language of the redevelopment agreement says, but that's the redevelopment agreement. The board is not here to review and approve the redevelopment agreement. That's between
That's
the
fair.
town and developer.
That's fair. So, but within 3 years, and I hope this board understands, this applicant can transfer ownership of this wastewater plant to another party. It's been brought to our attention, and I assume the board is aware that the developer has had some notable financial challenges and litigation. Are you confident in its ability to develop this and this wastewater plant, these upgrades with its current challenges?
I'm not sure how to even answer the question. This is completely out of the realm of what the planning board's here to do and what the purpose of this meeting is. The purpose of the meeting is to determine whether we comply with the redevelopment plan, and we 100% comply. That's the extent of the discussion.
So they shouldn't be concerned if this would fall on its
the
face.
wherewithal of any developer that comes before this board or any board throughout the state of New Jersey every day of the week is not a consideration of the board. If the developer is bankrupt the time they come to the board, it doesn't matter. It's not something the board has any legal jurisdiction over.
I would think it's the town.
You may not like it, you may think
I think
it's
the
not.
residents would be willing for the town to get sued to challenge it in a situation like that, but that's just my opinion. You testified before, you sir, that the irrigation system that would spray the effluent or treated toilet water has really never been practically used. Is that correct? It was never needed before?
That was his testimony,
Yes.
yes.
So I assume it's on that burn back there because I traversed that whole area before all the signs were put up and the solar cameras and all that scary security stuff. But I guess it's on that burn back there. Is that where between the lagoon and those condos or whatever you're going to call
I
it?
believe it's on the northern end of the property.
So is that it?
I'm not sure, we're not sure, it did not testify the exact location.
So you don't know the location of where these would be?
They exist.
Okay, does the board find it scary that they don't even know where these things exist? I do. I mean, come on. So, do you know where they are? I couldn't see them when I was going around.
Yes, it's in the north portion of the property. It's a fenced-in area where the irrigation heads
So can you
are.
point out where that is?
It's north of where it's shown right now.
So it's over there. Doesn't the building go there? Where is it?
That's Irina. That's 3 minutes, right? So please let him know. Yeah. That's 3 minutes, Jay.
Yeah, it's in that northern area. Yep, behind where the ball fields currently are.
So I'm sorry, you're going to pump it from there all the way over there in front
Jay,
of
that's
that
that's
other
3
building?
minutes. This is your second time, so I'm trying to get this meeting.
Scott, this
moving.
is important. You guys don't even know where
It
they are.
isn't. It's
I
Jay,
think it's really
you got 3
important.
minutes.
Scott,
please.
you don't even know where these irrigation things are going to be spraying toilet water, and you're cutting me off?
Yes, I'm cutting you off.
Yeah.
I'm cutting you off.
Scott, you're a piece of work.
Yeah. All right. Let's go.
Audrey Franco, 5 Hopbrook Lane. Hearing over the last week about the owner and his lawsuits and owing money, can he afford to build this or fix this treatment plan? What happens if he goes broke?
I think we just addressed that. We just addressed
As
that.
discussed earlier, the wherewithal of this developer or any developer is not a proper subject matter for a planning board, this planning board, or any planning board throughout the state of New Jersey.
All right. Anyone else? Well, he represent you, right? The attorney?
He represents you.
So, yeah. Well, he's done. Next question. Well, he can't ask. He's already stopped the attorney, right?
Yeah.
If there's nothing more from the public, I have the further.
Well, comments aren't. We're not going through comments yet.
What?
We're not doing comments yet. Yes, sir.
Peter Maneri, 59 Bethany Road, Homedale. I've been just, in a couple of meetings. My question is directed to T&M. The letter that one of the gentlemen here read last couple of meetings stated that, I believe, that they were under the pretense that there was going to be a newer facility built for this. And then it got changed up somehow, but he did not know how. I'm not sure if I missed something there, but maybe you can clarify that.
That was addressed.
So I think the testimony was, in the preliminary stages, there were open questions on the treatment system that they were going to propose for this, right? So it was, they knew the gallonage, they knew what the existing system was, they were contemplating different things, inclusive of adding additional features to the treatment train by way of separate buildings, C-box type containers, things of that nature. So it was going to be a revamp, but adding some different features. They subsequently decided not to go that direction because that would also have implications before a planning board, anything above ground. Implications meaning if you put a structure on the ground, then that has to be meeting certain obligations and requirements and such. They fell back and decided to basically gut the existing system and the componentry therein, and that's how they're going to address the concerns of the DEP obligation.
I know. I told you that already.
And T&M is completely satisfied with all these different things that are going on with this plant going forward, and they're happy to say and give it to the town at that end and say, we stamp this with our total approval. Is that? And T&M is representing the town of Homedale, New Jersey.
T&M is a consultant hired by the township. Yes, that's a fact. Our role in this was to provide guidance and direction to the committee by way of the redevelopment process. We got to the point, our goal was, what are the standards that they're going to have to comply with, and can you guide us to make sure they comply with all those standards? At the end of the day, the important thing to remember here is we, the Township of Holmdel, does not have the final say on the treatment. The treatment process is governed and regulated by the DEP, as has been testified multiple times now in the last several hearings. So our role is to understand what they're doing and to provide guidance to the township to say what they're doing makes sense, it complies, and will ultimately still need to go. So we haven't seen any detailed plans. I have no idea what they're proposing at the end of the day, nor do I need to at this moment in time, sir. You can shake your head all you want. That's the way the system works, right? It's no different than any other application that has been testified to. Generally speaking, applicants don't come in with 100% fully engineered plans on everything, because A, they got to make sure they're going to get an approval, because they're going to spend a lot of money doing the design and coming up with all those things, right? So what the process normally is, it's any outside agency approval is a requirement of this board's approval. So they would say, you're approved based on conditionally approved subject to, and then there's a whole laundry list: soil erosion, NJDEP, county planning board, any other agency has to fully sign off on all of the things that they're obligated to under state statute. So it's not that I'm designing the plan, I'm saying what they're proposing is consistent with the redevelopment plan and the agreement that was made to demonstrate that they will fully comply with NJDEP standards in their treatment process, and ultimately the end of the result is the discharge into either the stream or the lagoon will meet the water quality standards outlined in the DEP permit and approval. That's the process.
Any more questions? Yes, sir.
Good evening, Lance Loopy, Line Road. Question: at the last meeting, I believe that there was testimony that 40,000 gallons daily max, correct? Okay. First three phases, 34.9 or 30, somewhere in that 34,000, or I mean 39.4, I think was the number.
I don't remember exactly, but yes,
Okay.
there's a limitation.
That calculation was based on what you stated, I think, was antiquated calculations?
It's under the current DEP standards that everyone recognizes doesn't include modern fixtures, which are low flow and things of that nature. So it's
Taking
an
into
old
account
standard.
the April executive order that changed that for the low flow shower heads? And all the other,
Yes,
all the other
those-
low flow that are currently under review?
Those are required,
Right,
But,
but
the
you don't-
standard, the
that's not
standard
part of
doesn't-
the equation.
The standard doesn't include those. When they formulated the standard, we've all
Right.
been talking.
I understand, but you're saying that those formulas are antiquated because they're based on old methodology.
Yes, but they
Okay,
still apply.
and you
though.
also stated that the calculations, the had to be a 1 year of actual data collection to confirm that your numbers are correct. Correct?
Yes, there's the
Okay,
process. I think it's
so-
an average. Go ahead.
So is it, in reality, wouldn't you have to wait until the final building or the final residence of phase one is occupied for 365 days in order to collect, and 365 days after that to calculate all the correct amount?
Yeah,
So your
that's correct.
39.4 number could be completely blown out of the water? I guess pun not intended. Is that possible?
Yes, again.
So
the-
you
the-
really
the-
couldn't build phase two until phase one's been occupied for 1 year?
No, we have capacity to build. I don't
But
remember
you
the
don't know
numbers off
that.
the top of my head. We have capacity to build, I think, phase 1 and 2 with under the existing 40,000 on the existing methodology.
But you really don't know what the actual usage is going to be.
No, but again, the discussion about the actual usage is when we hit 40,000 gallons maximum capacity, we'll be building phase 4 at that time. So when we get
What
to
if you hit What if you hit 40,000 in the middle of phase two?
I don't remember the numbers that was testified to, but we don't hit it in the middle of phase 2.
You don't know that right now, correct? Do you know that right
I
now?
can interject by calculation. Phase 1 is 19,870 gallons.
That's a-
Phase 2 is an additional 11,000, totaling 31,000
Right.
plus or minus. Phase 3 adds another 7,750, which brings you to 39,320 according to the documents.
They also
and we
testified
reviewed.
that they could change phase 3 isn't necessarily phase 3. Phase 3 could be phase 2. Phase 4 could be phase 3, right? But again, we don't know the number. It's all based on speculation. It's not based
Yes,
on
the cal-
reality or
the-
fact.
The
Is that
calculation,
correct?
the calculation is in accordance with the sewer code of the state of New Jersey,
Okay.
right? So that says we expect those to be higher, those to be more conservative. The actual flows, more than likely, for phase 1 aren't going to be 25,000 because they're calculated at 19,750. The testimony that you're hearing is that based on all of the low flow fixtures, they would expect that number to be something less than 19,870.
Sure. But again,
so
low-
through phase 1, they're
Right.
only at half of their capacity.
So low flow fixtures all under review right now. Shower heads already eliminated in April of this year. So those we really don't know until 1 year after the last residency is occupied.
And it's somewhat irrelevant because they've testified to the fact that they're only going to be at half capacity after phase 1.
So let me
Based
try to
on
expedite. If
speculation.
it turns
That's
out
all.
that they're over 40,000 during phase 1, what happens?
So thank you, Mr. Herman, for clarifying that. I found the numbers finally. So phase 1, under the existing methodology, which everyone agrees is
Okay.
outdated. Let me
Can we
finish,
get
sir.
to reality though?
Yeah, no, we're getting to
Right, okay,
reality.
great.
Reality is that under current methodology, phase 1 will produce 19,870 gallons per day. We're not at 40 yet, right?
Assumption.
No, not assumption. That's what the regulations say.
Okay.
Okay, and since we all agree and we all know that when you put in place all the low flow fixtures that are required, it will reduce that amount.
Okay.
Okay.
Again, low flow shower heads eliminated in April of this year, and everything else low flow is under review.
Okay.
So
They're still in force in New Jersey. So phase 2 is 11,700 and phase 3 is 7,750.
federal law trumps state law, I think.
So
No.
not necessarily.
always.
So the point is, even with, let's take the low flow fixtures out, since you're hung up on the low flow fixtures.
I'm just-
Let's
it's a-
let's
it's a
let's
variable.
let's take it out of
It's
the
a variable.
equation. Let's take it out of the equation, okay? So let's take it out of the equation, but we still get to the same result. But let's take it out of the picture for a moment. We're at, under the current regulations, we're at 19,870 for phase 1. Under the current regulations in New Jersey, if we can show that after the year of operation, and we have a year's worth of numbers, if we can show that the flow is less than the 19,000, then that's what the number gets reset to. So as
Counsel,
we go along.
yeah, I think what he's asking, like, suppose after the first year, it's 42,000
Yeah.
of flow after the first year. You find that out through your testing. What then? I think that's what he's kind of asking. In
okay, so
actuality,
you've got
you have
people
over
in
40,000.
phase 2. Are you going to throw them out?
So the issue, again, we can't get our permits until we show we have capacity. So if there is that level, again, the levels are detailed by the licensed operator reported DEP. So should these numbers, which historically have shown have been too high throughout the state, somehow everyone is flushing their toilets 15 times a day because they're bored out of their minds, then we'll have those numbers.
It's possible you have another COVID.
It's possible.
Anything's
Okay.
possible. When
So
you pull out of the
again,
sky right now, right.
those are monitored and reported DEP.
I think what he's trying to
but
say
what's-
is if it's over the 40,
Right.
he can't get permits for the rest of his phases.
Again, but what I'm saying is you won't know phase 1's capacity or actual
but
usage
Ronnie,
until
but the-
365 days
Right,
after.
but then
it's
he's
occupied.
going to have to address that, and he's going to have to do something to address it.
Okay, and he addresses it, but how does he address it if in phase 2 it's half occupied, okay, and phase 1 is already
Well, that's going to be his problem
exceeded?
too. He has to address it. He can't build it if it doesn't comply.
If people are already living there, what happens then?
Look, when they do phase 1, Craig, correct me if I'm wrong, when you do phase 1, the estimated volume you said was 19,000? And usually those volumes, right, are usually figured to be conservative when they do the calculations to account for certain things. If after phase 1 it turns out they're getting 25, 30,000, then they're going to have to recalibrate, and they may not be able to start phase 2.
But does phase 2 start prior to 1 year after final occupancy of the last residence in phase 1?
That hasn't been determined yet. We haven't come in for phase 2 yet.
No, just phase 1 tonight.
But just to add some context, is it fair to say that you're allowed to rely on this calculation, which is the DEP standard today. So the conversation that we're having about it potentially being lower is really a function of that's empirical data, right?
Agreed.
So phase 2, at no point in time are they going to be relinquished from the obligation that they have a 40,000 gallon max. That's the fact of the matter.
Understood. My point is that after, if after, you don't know until, you don't know facts until
They're
1 year.
entitled to rely on the sewer code calculation to
Until
start.
it overflows.
That's not a practical reality here.
All right.
Okay.
I think we've
I guess
answered
we'll
the
hold
question.
the township
We're at
engineer
30
to that statement if that ever comes to be proven true or false. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, that's all right. Yes.
My name's John Countrudis, live at 5 Dug Hill Court in Homedale.
I'm sorry, could you spell your last name?
Countouroudas.
Thank you.
Okay. So when phase 1 is substantially completed and you move residents in, are these rentals? What kind of people are moving into this? And they're going to know that they're living by a lagoon, on top of a lagoon, or whatever we may want to call it?
So
Are they rentals? Are they for sale? Are they
Sure.
low income? What are they exactly?
So phase 1 is going to be 104. They're going to be for sale condominium units, senior condos.
Okay. And then phase 2?
We've already testified to all this, but
that wasn't on the-
Well-
I know, but phase.
Sorry, this is my first meeting. It's
That's right. So phase 2 will be 65 townhouses. Phase 3 will be the assisted living facility with 90 beds. Phase 4 will be senior apartments, 40 units.
so these are for sale. Some of them.
Some are for sale, some are for rent, and some are hospital beds. Well, assisted living.
So we're gonna put people to live on top of this lagoon. You gonna make them aware of what's gone down over here, what's going on, and what about these people getting sick in the future?
The property is what it is. People are free to come and look at the property, decide whether they want to buy the units or not. So if they don't want to buy the units because they don't like the wastewater treatment plant, they're free to. There's no law that requires them to buy the property.
So then what happens then? When you don't sell the units, when the units don't sell, people don't want to move into the assisted living because they don't want to. If someone puts my parents in assisted living there, I'm going to say, no, you can't go live there.
Then that's your decision. But again,
Understood. So what I'm saying
the
is-
economic issues you are raising are not issues that a board can analyze and rule on. So whether a project is going to be partially sold out, half sold out, fully sold out is not a planning issue that the board can consider.
You mentioned low income. Can you guys define what defines low income?
There are state standards for affordable housing for low and moderate income that's based upon a percentage of the county median. Then again, that's not an issue for the board. We have to comply with that. The state says we have to comply. We're only providing, by the way, which we discussed last time, we're only providing the units because the state and the court have mandated the town provide the units. Nobody went out and said, oh, please, please, please come build this. This is a state requirement that the courts are enforcing upon the town, and we are building what is required of us. That's
that-
why there's affordable housing.
And that's going to be senior living for the affordable housing.
These are
No
all
children.
senior units, yes.
No children.
They're 55
families.
they're 55 and older under federal law.
Okay, thank you. Yes. Well, please come to the mic, please. Is this a question or is it going to be a comment? Okay.
My name is Jillian Donald, 4 Field Point Drive. Is anything we're actually bringing to your attention relevant, or have you made your decision? And I would like to poll each and every one of you.
Well, first of all, when we vote, you'll know what we decide, but there's,
Please, tell me.
yeah, well, when we vote, you'll know.
Okay. So, what we're saying to you, you've already made your decision.
No, that's not what we're saying. What I'm trying to say is that a lot of your concerns, which I understand a lot of your concerns, really do not fall within the purview of this planning board. I just don't know. No, they don't, because you don't understand what the role of the planning board is. You don't understand the role of the DEP. You don't understand what our role is here as a board.
You're also not listening to our concerns.
You can come up here and have concerns about your property taxes too, but that's nothing for us to decide. You got to understand that.
You also can't answer us deliberately. You cannot answer any question. You just shut
Okay.
everything down. So
Okay.
this seems like a waste.
Okay.
I'm just.
Thank you. Yes.
How you doing? Fred Limogen, I got a quick question for you.
Excuse
First
me,
of all,
if you could just spell your last name.
Lonangino. First
Thank
of all,
you.
As a former planning board member, thank you all the volunteers for your time. I know it's not easy up there. My question is, as a four-phase subdivision, if I understood your calculations correct, you're pretty much maxed out at phase 3. So have they presented to the planning board a plan B for when they max out on phase 3 as to where they would put another system or how they would go about doing so? Because again, based on your calculations, you're maxed out at phase 3, and they're showing 4 phases. That's my only question. Thank you.
So as we've discussed a number of times, we cannot build another unit once we hit the 40,000 gallons per day. So
That
if,
wasn't the question, sir.
then what was your question?
My question was, according to your data, you're maxed out on this system on phase 3.
Correct.
So where is the backup plan for phase 4, or why are you even here with a phase 4 if, according to your own numbers, you're maxed out at phase 3?
So again, as discussed, we can have actual usage, and if the actual usage is lower than what is being calculated under the regulations, we're allowed to then build additional units. And it has been historically shown that the regulation number is very high, and when you get actual usage, it's lower. So there will be sufficient capacity to build phase 4, but again, we won't be able to build phase 4 until we've had those actual usage numbers and are able to show that we will have capacity for phase 4. So it's something that will be determined in the future. The board's approving nothing regarding phase 2, phase 3, or phase 4. They're just approving phase 1 tonight.
Okay, so if I understand you correctly,
Okay.
under today's methodology that you're using, you have enough volume there for 3 phases.
Correct.
Although this planning board is looking at a complete 4-phase
No.
development in the
That's-
future. That
no,
when
no.
you're
Right now,
planning-
all we're talking about is phase 1.
So but let me
Yeah,
just
preliminary
clarify,
phase.
just so there's no misunderstanding. So the redevelopment plan says when we come in for this site, we have to give general information about the entire site. So if you do look at our application, there is a preliminary only site plan for the whole site, all 4 phases. But we're only coming in for final approval for phase 1 because that's what we have before the board, and that's what the board has. So we will come back for each phase, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4, and the board will review in detail, as they are tonight, in the past 2 nights, everything about the application, including the capacity issue. So the board isn't approving phase 2, 3, and 4. It's just we're providing site-wide information. For example, we have all the roads that are needed. We have all the water lines that are needed. We have electric and the general layout of the
I
site.
understand. Thank
Okay?
you. Well, the last question is, would it be the town's stipulation then that phase 4 wouldn't be built until a year after phase 3 is completely occupied to see what the real calculations are? Would that be a stipulation in the approvals, according to the town attorney?
I think the way the approval is, it would be, we're subject to the 40,000 gallons. So if we come here for phase 4 and we don't have, let's say we don't have the actual usage, right? We can't build phase 4 because we don't have capacity under the regulations.
So
we
if it
wouldn't.
takes a year to find that out, it's your testimony that you'll wait a full year after completely occupied on phase 3 to begin phase 4?
Well, not necessarily phase 3, but we will have, when we have actual usage data for each phase, if that reduces the amount for each phase, then we will have additional capacity for additional units. So it'll be whatever numbers we have when we come in, and the board will review it, and the board professionals will review it, and it'll be determined whether or not we have enough capacity to build phase 4.
Okay,
So we'll just
maybe
have
I
to
didn't
wait and see what
understand
that is.
And hear correctly, wasn't it one of the professionals up here that said it takes a full year after full capacity to see what
Correct.
the actual data is? So then it would be your testimony that phase 4 wouldn't begin until a year after phase 3 is completely occupied. Or am I missing something?
Well, if we have the actual usage for phase 1 and 2, say
That's not phase 3.
For example, I understand, just hear me out a second. If we have actual usage for phase 1 and 2, let's say, and that shows a substantial reduction in the gallonage per day, then that creates additional capacity. So we have, let's say, for example, we have half the units that we would like to build in phase 4. We have additional capacity, so we might come in with phase 4 with half the anticipated units because we don't have actual numbers to justify the full phase 4. So it's hard to really give you an exact number, an exact answer, but that's how the concept works, is we can only build what we can show that we have either conceptual capacity under the regs or actual usage. So if we don't have the actual usage for the full phase 4, the board's not going to give us the full phase 4. So we'll have to kind of see when we get there, but that's how it pushes back and forth between those
I
two
understand.
concepts.
Thank you, and I hope the town puts that in their stipulations. Again, board, thank you for your time. I think you guys know where I'm going, is if that's the master plan and that concept is what you're approving, and their own numbers are telling you that they can't go with that full approval and that full tax base of 4 phases, that's something to think about. But thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Hello again.
Hello, everybody. Apologies, I was a little late, and I know we're voting, so I'm going to make this right to the point, no slapstick, and get right to the question. First, just to check.
Your name,
Oh, I'm
please.
sorry. Matt White. So fast. I know it was Matt Weisfeld, 10
Thank you.
Riverside Lane, Homedale, New Jersey. Now, the first question is, all this is in. I understand you're not trying to be gruff with it. It's just that it's beyond your control, and it's about the DEP. If
That's correct.
Exactly. Because I know everyone's like, oh, what are they doing? But that has nothing to do with what you guys have tonight, just to clarify. Now, I'm genuinely asking this because this is what I just got in here. The irrigation system somewhere in the north, I'm not going to give you a hard time, point the finger, all that stuff. What does that mean? Like, what is that irrigation system? So I'm hearing all sorts of stuff in the back. What is getting expelled from the irrigation? And this is currently happening, like, getting expelled right now. Because, guys, I want to play pickleball with Pat Petrucci over here as long as, like, it's all good.
This has been asked and answered many times last meeting. You were here last meeting. We've discussed how the system works in case of an emergency, and it's already been answered.
But there's wording that I'm hearing now that is very different than what I heard the other day, and I don't want to just throw words out there. I don't want to say stuff or repeat stuff that might be incorrect. So just to clarify, because again, I'm talking about the DEP, forget all the other nuance, what's satire and everything else. What exactly is getting shot all over the fields, and while I'm playing pickleball with Pat, what am I breathing?
Again, we've discussed
that- they're
this.
saying-
Mr. Weisfeld was here last meeting. We've had extensive discovery, and my understanding was people who ask questions are not going to be able to ask questions again. And we've had multiple people.
Well, yeah. I
and
mean,
we should move
yeah,
on.
I don't know. Is this your only question? Matt? Yeah. If just for the sake of this, let's try and
So,
reiterate.
in
if we
brief,
can.
if there's an emergent situation, then it would be sprayed on the fields. Our understanding, it hasn't happened in the past. We discussed this last time.
I keep hearing toilet water. That's the only thing. That's why I'm like, I was going to pass and even ask you a question because honestly, you're all here. This is a great night to vote. No one can say anything or whatever. There's if he showed up or that showed up, I would love to see the vote. But I'm hearing toilet water in the back here. That's why I just want to know, like are we spraying poop all over the field? And if we are, how can the DEP be good with that? And guys, I'm not trying to be cute. I'm not trying to be funny. I want this to be done. And frankly, I think the development is, I can see, and guys, this town will be the best friends ever.
Is this a comment or a question?
I'm sorry, it's turning into a comment.
You're
You're correct.
Comment later. Okay?
But what is the water, though? I mean, again, I'm hearing toilet water and poop water.
Again, as discussed last time, it would be treated water. It would not be raw sewage.
Where's the water coming from, though?
The
that's
treatment
being sprayed?
plant. The treatment plant.
But from so it would be going from the toilet to the treatment onto the pickleball field.
Correct.
No, but when it comes out of the treatment plant, maybe you can explain the quality of the water when it comes out of the
treated.
treatment
It's
plant.
the same quality of water that would be put in the lagoon or discharged into the stream.
On DEP standard, the
Yeah,
poop
yeah,
water.
yeah.
You know what? I'll leave it at that. That just sounds pretty messed up.
Okay. Wait, once you want to go ahead. Hold on, Miss. I'll let after her. Yeah.
Laura Ferretti, 6 Ridge Hill Way.
So your last name?
Ferretti. I was
Thank
not
you.
here at the last meeting, and so my question is pretty simple. If this is voted yes, is it definitively going forward as a pilot program?
Well, that's nothing to do with us.
I know the township had an ordinance. The township had an ordinance, and I think there's a second reading coming up, but nothing to do with this board.
You don't know the answer, or you don't want to answer it?
I just answered it. They had an ordinance reading at the last meeting of the TC, Town Council. There's another one that they have to do. I'm not sure when it's set for. Okay.
Okay, so it's
Regardless,
not definitively
it's
a
not
pilot.
this
It's not
board's.
definitively, or it is definitively a pilot program?
It's nothing to do with this board.
That question
Pilot
has
has
to be
nothing to
asked
do
to the
with this
town
board.
council. It's not this board.
This is Vikram Srinivas, 23 Rambling Brook Drive. Okay,
I'm sorry, your last name?
Srinivas, Srinivas.
Thank you.
So I had a question for the developers, right? So you've been in the last meeting and the last few meetings. The concerns all have been about. The concerns all have been about putting the water into our drinking system, putting the treated water into our drinking system. Has other alternatives been considered where you do not release the water into our drinking system?
No, we're complying with all DEP standards.
Okay, so that's it. So question for the board. Does the board have the authority to put a condition, any condition, around with your approval, even if you're going for the approval, does the board have the authority to put any condition on the beyond what the DEP regulates?
No.
Okay. So basically at this point in time, nothing's been considered. We can't do anything about it. So it's pretty much what is put in here.
Excuse me, say that again?
So pretty much you can't put a condition, so you basically approve it as requested.
We cannot tell an applicant that they have to go above and beyond what's required by the laws.
Okay. Just.
Anyone else? Yes, come on up.
Good evening. Jim Devine, 7 Honeysuckle Court, Homedale. Question to the planning board. Does the planning board have a responsibility to the citizens of the town? And if so, does the planning board think that this activity, putting this sewer in the middle of our town, is in the best interest of the town? And is it justified based on the tax rates? Thank you. You need to answer those questions as you vote on this tonight, because the town does not support this.
Okay.
Alicia Unison, 8 Riverside Lane, UNUSAN.
Thank you.
So earlier today, your client released a group of answers, questions, upgrades to the current situation at 23 Main Street. Some of those estimates, I'm wondering, do you guys have an estimate on those upgrades that you have proposed? How much they'll cost, the upgrades that were proposed 5 hours before this meeting? In vague detail. So I'm assuming.
We don't have an estimate of the cost.
You don't have an estimate of the cost. And I'm wondering, in your analysis or your breakdown of things that you might do for us, you said the discharge lagoon restoration would be dredged to remove accumulated sediment. Seems simple enough. Resurfaced with stone as needed to improve infiltration. Again, simple. And restored to meet environmental standards. So my question becomes, are you gonna move that lagoon to meet the standards and give it a 300-foot buffer?
No, it's not being moved.
So then I guess my question is, number 7 on the Azora Homedale upgrades, why would you guys include that?
What is meant by the environmental standards is the DEP standards applicable to the wastewater treatment plant.
Which would include a 300-foot barrier.
No.
That's a location issue, not an operational issue.
I guess it should be stated then that this is an operational upgrade.
That's what we've been testifying to all along for the past 2 and 3 hearings now.
I'll ask one more question. We're obviously not comfortable with this. If it were to take a little bit more money to make us all comfortable, given what's in the news the last few days even, I guess you guys haven't heard about the Passaic issue in the hospital, the PFAs in our water. Why wouldn't you spend a little bit more money to make us all good neighbors here and trusting of this process moving forward, which is so questionable as we go to 2, 3, and 4 phases that you don't seem to have answers to? Why not spend a little money up front?
The applicant's going to comply with all DEP requirements.
I'll ask one more question of the planning board tonight. I've been at a lot of these meetings, and if I go to the township committee, they'll tell me to ask you guys. And if I come here, you guys say, we got nothing. Ask them. You know, I'm just a girl trying to raise my family here and drink clean water. Why can't I get that? Why is that such a tough thing? You all live here. How come some of you see it and some of you don't see it? It's questionable.
Okay.
So there's my question, Mr. Silverman. Please answer my question.
Yeah, I have no reason to believe that what they're planning on doing, if it's compliant with all the rules and regulations, that it shouldn't provide and it should not adversely affect the drinking water for this town.
And do you plan on living here
I do live
the
here.
next year?
Yeah.
You're not going to sell?
No, I don't know when I'm going to sell.
Okay. Interesting. Thank you.
Yeah. Any more questions before I, yeah. I got you. Don't worry, Wes. Yeah.
Hi, Jen Ashkar, 21 Springvale Drive. I just wanted to go back to the phasing issue where the end phases could be cut off if the flow is too large to be accommodated. There's been a lot of, I guess, pressure about the affordable housing mandates, and we're worried about builder's remedy lawsuit, but aren't there affordable housing units associated with those final phases? And if the developer was unable to produce those phases, wouldn't we not get the number of units we've been promised? Wouldn't that affect our vulnerability to a builder's remedy lawsuit?
There's 6 units in phase 4, is that correct?
Correct. 6
And what
units.
about phase 3?
8 I believe there's 8.
It's six in phase 3, 8 in phase
6 and 8.
4. Yes. I'll answer that in a general terminology. This is not specific to Homedale. But that if the way that the flow works out, that they cannot build phase 4, which is not a guarantee at this point, that the idea is that they believe that they can, and the township believes that they will be able to, based on these monitoring, as Mr. Herman and as the applicant has talked about. The township will have still completed the vast majority of the units, affordable units associated with this project. And making, and you know, there's a 10-year period in which to build these units per the Fourth Round Housing Act. So, you know, it's a lot easier to make up 8 units, especially when you're doing something in good faith, rather than 40-something units.
Okay, so there's no, if what is the cutoff for where we start to worry of how many units short we are?
I can't answer that specifically for the town. I'm not the town's affordable housing planner.
All right, that's it. Thank you.
Anyone else? All right, Wes, you want to? Oh. Is it a quick comment? Oh, yeah.
James Cicciarello, 5 Brook Lane, Homedale. So my question is the town prepared to move ahead of DEP or compliance?
We're not moving ahead on anything. We're just moving, if we vote yes, all we're really doing is giving them the okay to obtain DEP and start performing the whole process. They cannot go forward without getting DEP approval.
My next question is the town going to be moving ahead with approval without perk test?
I'm not sure I understand that.
There was no perk test, right?
Oh, with the perk test? Well,
Right.
we've discussed that already.
Right. So you guys are going to be making a decision without the perk test?
Yes, because that's not relevant for the purposes of our making our decision as a planning board.
Has the town involved DEP at all up until this point?
I don't believe so.
We don't know.
Not to my knowledge. I don't know. They may have. I don't know.
Ed may know.
Ed, do you know?
Ed?
Now, as with any application, that's part of the process, right? So you don't engage them until you have the authority to do so. All of the testing and all of the proofs that would be required by DEP to demonstrate that they can comply with the standards are what they would have to do, subject to once this board releases them to do those next steps. So the perk testing, the cleanup of the existing lagoon, anything like that would be subject to DEP's approval. No one's going to do that now because they're still at risk. This project could still not go forward. They could back out at any time. So you're not going to go spend all the money proving everything to the nth degree before you have the authority to do so. No one does that. That's just the way it is in the state of New Jersey.
So the town hasn't had DEP come down to visit the site?
No.
Not our
I don't know if
purview.
I don't believe that's typically what's done.
So my next question would be, why would the builder move forward with the project without having DEP come down to the site?
As we've discussed, DEP will review and approve everything before we can get a building permit. So as the chairman's saying, if the board approves the application tonight, there's a lot of things that happen before we get a building permit. One is we have to get DEP approval for the upgrade of the station. So until we have that DEP approval and submit it to the town, they're not going to give us a building permit. So when DEP comes into play does not factor into when the board makes a decision. It's what, under New Jersey law, it's called an outside agency approval. So for example, we also have to go to get soil conservation approval. We'll get that after tonight. We also have to get the county planning board approval. That process we've started, because by law we have to start it. We've gotten their input. So every agency outside of the township of Homedale that has to review and approve this application, we have to give proof to the town. We've gotten that, satisfactorily gotten that, before they will entertain, give us one building permit.
So my next question is, will the town allow the compliance documentation that's been submitted? Would that be available for the public review?
That's a public document.
Yeah.
Once we submit that, that's available. You can call the board secretary and get
Has
copies.
it been submitted already?
No, because we haven't applied to DEP yet.
So you haven't applied to DEP, and yet the board is already here. Ruling.
yeah.
Is this tonight? You guys are gonna
No,
rule
no,
on
no.
this?
Well,
We're
we
giving
don't know
them
yet.
approval to start the process, so
Yeah.
none of that has been done yet. We're just
Thank
giving.
you.
All right, Wes.
Okay.
Yeah, we're going to close public questions at this point, unless someone has something.
Ron had it.
Did you want to say one thing, sir?
I've listened to all of the questions and I've listened to all of the answers, but I particularly listened to the response given to a question by. Okay. I said I've listened to all of the questions. I've listened to the responses, and what's really significant is you have the residents expressing their thoughts. But having said that, you've also had your engineer express the thought that conceptually he cannot really comment as to this plan. Now, there's no doubt but that the DEP has the ultimate say with regard to whether or not this wastewater treatment plan will work. That's what they decide. They don't decide
Was there a question?
planning issues.
Can you ask the question?
Pardon me?
Is there a question?
Yeah, my question is, how can this board vote on this matter without listening to the testimony from your engineer conceptually as to whether or not this plan will work?
I believe we did listen to our engineers, and I
Pardon me?
believe they all said, if professionals, did any of you make a statement that this gentleman is talking about that we don't agree? I didn't recall hearing that.
No, Mr. Chairman.
Kate?
No.
Greg?
I disagree with that, but I have no further questions.
All right, so at this point, no, you spoke already, miss.
No, close.
No, it's closed. It's closed. We have comments. You could speak at comments later. Sir, we've been doing this for three days already. I've given everyone an opportunity to speak. It's not my job.
I understand that it takes a lot to plan a town, and I know you guys work very hard for this. It's a lot, and it's not something I'm experienced with. I know that you guys put many hours into this, but I know that at one of the meetings, there was discussion on different things being put into that Vonage site, whether it was a college or whatever. Now, recently, I'm just wondering, have you guys recently considered other options?
That's not for us. That's not for us to consider, miss. I don't know what I could tell you. That's not for us to consider.
Okay, well, I just have one more comment, because I recently...
It's not a comment. Comments are later. Comments are before the vote and after we have to hear from the traffic engineer and go through that whole process. And right now, it looks like it's not going to happen tonight. It's probably going to go to after the new year if we keep this up.
Listen, I know you guys work hard. But we're all working hard here for what's best for this town. We all care, obviously. That's why we're all here.
Is this a comment or a question? I'm just trying to move this along, miss.
I understand you want to move it along, but
So-
we also want to make sure that this is the right decision. Is
Noted.
made for
It's
us.
noted. It's
Thank you.
noted. Okay, so we are now closing public questions. On this one, when we get to the traffic engineer afterwards, we'll have questions as well. I know. You know, Joyce. Wes.
Okay. Before it gets too late. So I do have questions. And before I finish, I do want to suggest that we have an on-site meeting. The Homedale Environmental Commission has sent us 2 different letters, both suggesting an on-site meeting. My first question is about evidence in terms of documentation of what's happening here. Question, we have a T&M letter dated September 30th. Is that in evidence now? Who's taking care of
I
this?
think it was in evidence last time, wasn't it?
Is this marked?
It's part of the...
This was part of the submission. I'm sorry, the response from TNM.
So yes?
It's part of the review.
Good. Then you have October 9th. It's a Collier's diagram of the sewer plant. It's preliminary, it's undated, and it's unstamped. Is that part of our? If it isn't, I'd like that to be part of our.
That was submitted.
This was submitted to
Okay.
TNM
It
for
is.
the review.
And
It was
it's,
submitted to the board as well.
All right, we got a letter today, 2 pages from Azura. It's got, the woman, so talked about it earlier, it's got 8 points of what you're gonna do to improve. How about that? Is that going to be submitted for?
This was posted on township website.
Yes.
And I thought it would be a good idea to send this to the board, since it
Okay.
was posted on the website and Facebook page as well.
So are we submitting that into evidence?
We are not submitting that into evidence.
Okay, so this is out.
Informational purposes.
So just because I have this letter in my hand, because the woman pointed out that you're going to dredge and remove accumulated sediment, apparently that's not going to happen. So if that's not going to happen, this lagoon is within the 300-foot buffer, right? Generally, you can't do anything within a 300-foot buffer. So I'm not sure how you're bringing heavy equipment in to dredge the lagoon, and what the extent of your moving earth around is going to be. So maybe this is not applicable to what we're talking about. in terms of things rushed and not rushed, that Collier's letter was dated September 30th. That was the same day as our meeting, so it was a fairly involved letter. T&M stated in number 5, a new packaged wastewater treatment plan will be installed to treat the flows. It was further testified that that's not the case, that it's not going to be new. Somebody made a mistake, somebody made a change. But you're not going to, Mr. Herman, you're not going to change this letter. You're going to keep it as is. You're not going to amend it.
I testified earlier that the comment that was made about new was based on prior conversations that we were involved with directly through the township in the redevelopment approval process prior to that. So that was originally their thought was they were going to add new structures and new facilities. That was changed after the fact to be more of a renovation of existing facilities to meet the standards rather than adding new structures.
My question is, are you going to change this, or you're leaving this letter as is?
I think the letter can stand as is based upon my testimony here tonight.
Very good.
And the record would be clearly reflective of that.
Okay. Now going to the actual plans of the location. We have a disposal field within the 300-foot buffer zone. We know from the permit that the size of that lagoon is supposed to be 662 feet by 142 feet. But on the plans itself, there's no numbers. There's no corner posts. There's no nothing. We haven't even discussed any fencing around the thing. So we're not sure. I'm not sure of anything in terms of that lagoon. It was testified that the spray fields are already fenced, and even now we're not sure where they are. So it's no place on any plan that I've seen, the spray fields, and yet that seems to be something that would fall in the purview of this board, number one. Number two, same with the size and dimensions of the lagoon. Understanding the DEP may have jurisdiction under the lagoon, but we have jurisdiction over what you do within that 300-foot buffer. Further, on the plans, our regulations state that a 300-foot buffer has to be delineated with monument locations spaced at 250 feet. That's in the Development Regulations 30-58-H. So there's no indication on any plan that I've seen of where those 250-foot delineations are. The lagoon itself, from my observation last year, it seemed to be scoured out of the earth, and then the berms were built up on the side. In terms of the plot plan, there are no elevations on the lagoon at all. So it doesn't tell us how deep it is, and it doesn't tell us how high the berms are that is keeping the effluent inside of the space. It's been discussed that maybe it'll break, maybe it won't break. I don't know. The legend has on it a legend, in other words, it's got a symbol for a monitoring well. And yet there are no monitoring wells on the plan. So it says in the legend monitoring well, but you don't show any monitoring wells. I'm aware of 4 monitoring wells presently at the site, so I'm not sure why they're not on the plan. I'm not going to ask because I can ask, how did the effluent in the past get to the stream? How did it physically get there?
There's existing piping from the treatment plant to the stream for the effluent.
So how about from the lagoon to the stream?
There's no piping direct connection. There's connection,
Oh, right, you're right.
There's connection from the treatment plant to the lagoon when that's
Right.
being utilized. There's valving in between the piping, and then there's piping to the stream so that it can be changed over in the different times of the year.
Right. So it would seem to me that that piping has to be within the 300-foot buffer between the plant and the stream, and yet again, it's not shown on any plan. So I think in terms of, you can seek whatever terms you want, but I think that should be shown on the plan, just because if you change it, you know, it's supposed to be on the plan. I don't know why it's not on the plan. Neither is shown the stormwater to the stream. In other words, you presently have pipes. You're not going to change anything in terms of upgrading your stormwater treatment. So you're going to use existing piping. Again, there's nothing shown on the plan where that outfall is to bring the stormwater to the stream. We already talked about the restricted access locations once you spray onto a field and where they are, and apparently they're fenced now, but they're not called out on any plan. And finally, I really had to scratch my head when I looked at this, because this entire project is based upon flow. The whole thing, we've talked about every day, 40,000 gallons a day. Do you know there's no flow meters shown on any plan at all? The whole thing hinges on flow. No existing flow meters and no proposed flow meters. So, I mean, when you talk about things being rushed, I think the public has a legitimate concern about things going too fast. So with that, I would just call for a site visit to be scheduled and clear up some of these things. That's all.
Okay, so, well, now we're at the point where we're closing comments and questions on the wastewater proposal. I guess we can start with the traffic now.
Mr. Gazarovski's witnesses will come at the end of the applicant's case, which hasn't happened yet. Yes.
Yeah.
Mr.
Yeah.
Chairman, what about the site visit?
Well, what do? We got to vote on it?
Yeah, you can
If
do
you
it
want to
now or
make a
later.
motion,
You can vote on it now or vote on it later.
Yeah, I would move that we schedule a site visit, and there are some specific things that should be marked out.
well, why don't we decide,
For the
vote on
public.
the
Of course.
site visit first before we
That's what
decide.
it does.
Yeah. Okay, so
So I would move that we do that.
is there a second? Okay.
I'm sorry, who motioned? My finger.
And Thompson.
Mr. Connolly,
Yes.
Mr. Ackerson,
Wes, I'm not sure, what was the purpose of the site visit?
Well, the purpose would be, number one, to see the, lagoon boundaries. Part of their proposal was to go in and dig that out. So the permit has the size of the lagoon at 662 by 142 feet.
What permit is that? I'm not sure what you're speaking about.
This is the DEP permit that allows them to dump into the lagoon. The size of the lagoon is spelled out in the permit. The last time I asked Mr. Vogt if he knew the size of it, and he didn't know.
But is that something we can consider, Marty? Is that, you know, the DEP regulations, sizing, permitting, anything? What are we going to gain by going to the...
You're not going to change the
Can
size.
I finish the question? I just, my question was, what are we going to gain by going to the site if we can't have any decision-making power on what the DEP is permitting? I'm not clear on that. That's why I'm just trying to get some clarification from you
Okay,
and your
so,
request.
so we already know what size it is. It's 662 by 142. They're going to put stakes there at that. What if we find out it's in the middle of the lagoon? What if the size is totally wrong? That's totally within our jurisdiction.
The engineering of...
Yeah,
Is that- I'm asking,
professionals,
I don't-
is
I don't
that-
know
is
if
that
it
in our jurisdiction?
Is that, because Marty's shaking his head no, so professionals, can you give us some clarification on that?
The lagoon?
Mike, please.
So I think, Wes, if I understand correctly, your question is that you want to be sure that the applicant is being truthful about the size of the lagoon. I would say that, you know, that's the purpose of a signed and sealed site plan. You know, an engineer who signs and seals a site plan, you know, they're putting they're representing that everything on that site plan is correct. You may ask for that for the applicant to add more information to a site plan, but you know, I think that if that's the case, you could take this out. You could take this and use this for any single thing on any application. Because at a certain point, you know, we rely on a site plan that's signed and sealed by someone with professional credentials for that purpose. I mean, I think that there's more to your request for the site visit, and I think that you weren't finished answering Mr. Ackerson, but I think just for dimensional purposes, for something that's existing, I'll defer to engineers, but if that's the case, I think we can certainly ask them to add more information to the site plan so you can feel more comfortable with it.
We're asking to approve a site plan. This is the site plan. The lagoon is on there. There's no dimensions on it.
I don't think we're.
Right, and they can add those dimensions, and that would be subject to the engineer who signed and sealed it to his professional viability.
So I certainly would like to see where those dimensions fall in the field. The monitoring well locations, which are called out in the plan, but not on any. In other words, it says they're monitoring wells, but none are shown in the plan.
It's not relevant.
It's not relevant.
So, Marty, you're saying it's not relevant to our
Unless it's in
decision
the
on
middle of a street
this
or,
application?
some improvement, but if it's not.
If I may, I apologize for interfering with the board's consideration of it. The details that Mr. Fagan is looking for, we can certainly agree to include those on the revised plans as a result of the board's decision. So the exact dimensions, the monuments, et cetera, we can put those details in the revised plans, be reviewed by your professionals.
And wells,
N-
and the
Monitoring wells, I mean, the whole list of things are just really locational issues. They exist today. We are not changing them. We've said multiple times, we are not expanding the lagoon. We're not expanding the capacity of the station. Everything will stay there. It's mostly internal equipment swap out and upgrade. So again, all these detail issues, we can certainly, again, as a condition of approval, submit revised site plans, as happens on every application when there's something that's not entirely clear to the board on a plan set. I guarantee almost every one of your applications that someone is submitting a revised plan with more details. We certainly will agree to provide all those details to the extent they're not on there now.
Next, you're going to see restricted access spray locations. In other words, when they take those sprinkler systems and spray it, you can't use that property anymore. So they're going to spray 15,000 gallons a day on that field. Maybe we'd want to see how big the field is. Maybe they're testifying it's fenced in now, but it's not shown on the plan, and it's certainly not marked on any plan.
Isn't this an existing location that's already there, already being operated, was already permitted under DEP, and now is going to be rehabbed and approved by DEP? I mean, we don't make those determinations.
That's your testimony, that it's existing now?
I'm asking, do we?
He's not testifying.
I'm not testifying, I'm asking a question, Wes.
Please, there's a motion to the board, so why don't we just vote?
Yeah, just vote.
Yea or no? Yea or nay?
I don't think it's under our purview, as Marty's shaking his head in the affirmative to make that decision for the board, so I'm a no.
Mr. Romano? Yes. Mr. Fagan?
Yes.
Mr. Mon?
Yes.
Mr. Emam?
Yes.
Mr. King? Yes. Ms. Plausas? Yes. Mr. Silberman?
I'm going to say no.
Guys.
I mean,
Did you vote up? Is that everybody?
Six yeses, yeah, so motion passed.
okay. Yeah. Yeah, all right, so I guess it's already 9:34. Do we want to?
No, we have
wanna
to
get the
pick the
traffic
day or
testimony in?
pick the day, Marty?
You want to give traffic?
Okay.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, bring up the next witness?
Yes, please.
Thank you, sir.
John, we're gonna swear you in. Do you swear to tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Just again, spell your name for the record.
John Ray, R-E-A.
Mr. Ray, if you give your licensure and experience to the board?
Sure, I'm a licensed professional engineer. My field of specialty is traffic engineering. I am a principal with McDonough and Ray Associates, 1431 Lakewood Road, Manasquan, New Jersey. Been a licensed professional engineer for about 40 years. I've been doing consulting work in the state of New Jersey for the last 40 years. I also spent the first 10 years of my career in public sector. So I have a total of 50 years experience. In the traffic engineering field, I have an undergraduate degree in civil engineering from NJIT and a master's in transportation engineering from NYU, and I've testified before this board and many others throughout the state.
We
Okay.
offer Mr. Ray as an expert in traffic testimony?
Sure.
Thank you. Mr. Ray, please continue.
Okay, so I'm here tonight to testify as to the traffic impact that's associated with the development application that's in front of the board. I prepared a traffic impact study dated June 11th, 2025. I believe it has been reviewed by the board's traffic consultant, Mr. Jar, and I think the board's engineer as well. Basically, let me just go through the traffic study so the public has an idea of what goes into a traffic study, why it's done, what are the steps that are taken in determining what the impact will be from a development proposal. First thing we do is we go out to the site and we do an inventory of existing roadway conditions in the area. As everyone knows, they're familiar with the site. It certainly appears that way. It's at the intersection of two county roads, basically in the northwest corner of the intersection of Holmdel Road and CR 520, which is known as Main Street in this area, also commonly known as Newman Springs Road. The property currently has access to both Holmdel Road and to Newman Springs Road. And it's been that way for years, as a lot of people that live in town know, and I've been doing traffic work in Monmouth County for the last 40 years. The site used to be a corporate facility for Vonage, a telecommunications company, and prior to that, Prudential Insurance occupied the building for quite some time. So the first thing we do is we go out, we inventory the existing roadway conditions, the access to the site, and then we go out and we do our traffic counts. An automatic traffic recorder was placed on both Holmdel Road and Newman Springs Road for approximately about 200 hours of continuous traffic volume data was collected on both roads. And then the automatic traffic counts were supplemented by a manual turning movement count, which we conducted at the intersection of Holmdel Road and Newman Springs Road. So we established base traffic conditions from that. Next step we took was to calculate how much peak hour traffic. And by peak hours, I'm talking about typical morning and afternoon commuter peak hours throughout the week. They typically occur between 7 and 9 in the morning, 4 to 6 in the afternoon. And so what we do is we go to a book that's called the Institute of Transportation Engineers Trip Generation Manual. The ITE basically publishes data for different land uses, and that's what we use in order to estimate peak hour traffic for a development proposal. The ITE data is accepted by the NJDOT, by the Monmouth County Engineering Department. It's a very reliable source of traffic information data. So then we generate traffic for the different uses that are on the property, and I'll just go through some numbers real quickly. Based on the number of units and the different types of units that are proposed, We're estimating a total of 82 driveway movements during the morning peak hour and 100 driveway movements during the afternoon peak hour. Just to put that in context, because as I indicated before, this was once a corporate headquarters for Vonage, and before that, Prudential Insurance. The existing property has almost 1,500 parking spaces, and just to put it in context, the access to the two county roads was designed to accommodate a much higher level of traffic than what's going to be generated by the senior community. Again, 1,500 parking spaces, and by some estimates that I've heard, 1,700 or 1,800 people were in the building at one point in time, and the access system was designed to accommodate that level of activity. So we do our traffic counts, we do our traffic generation estimates, and then we project traffic volumes to a design year that we think the project may be completed within that horizon, that time frame. And we selected 2030, 5 years into the future, as a potential design year for the project. We go to the NJDOT's background traffic growth rate data for the area, and we look at the growth rates that are assumed for these arterial roadways in Monmouth County, and we expand the base traffic volumes to the design year based on the NJDOT's background traffic growth. That's what we did. Then we calculate what we call levels of service, and in this particular case, the most important levels of service are the levels of service that will occur at the site driveways to Holmdel Road and to Newman Springs Road. We also did an analysis of the off-site signalized intersection of Newman Springs and Holmdel Road, but I'm going to leave that for the time being because I think from a traffic perspective, we have a permitted use. It operates at a good level of service today and will continue to operate at a good level of service, but the single most important thing are the access points to Holmdel Road and to Newman Springs Road. Are they going to operate safely and efficiently for that 2030 design year? And just for the benefit of the people in the public, when we talk about levels of service, they range from A to F, with A being the highest or best attainable level of service, F being the lowest. Generally speaking, any intersection operating at level of service E or better is considered to be operating within acceptable traffic engineering parameters. And levels of service are related to the amount of delay that motorists experience waiting to enter either Holmdel Road or Newman Springs Road. And for the 2030 design year, what we've calculated is that the exiting movements to Holmdel Road from the site will operate at level of service B when the project is completed, all 4 phases. And the exiting movements to Newman Springs Road, AKA Main Street, will operate at level of service C. We've also communicated with, these are 2 county roads, so we have filed the county application. We've gotten some preliminary comments from the county. We are going to have to make sure that the sight triangles on both roadway connections are appropriate so that motorists exiting onto either one of the county roads have a clear line of sight to traffic going east-west on Newman Springs Road, north-south on Holmdel Road. But I can report that based on the relatively level and straight alignments of those 2 roadways and the sight triangles that will be provided, that the levels of service will meet accepted traffic engineering parameters and the sight distance will also meet accepted engineering standards. So the site access points will operate safely and efficiently based on the amount of traffic we're going to generate and a projection of future 2030 traffic volumes for the 2 county roads. I also took a look at the internal circulation, the site plan, and the parking, and essentially, as everybody can see, very little is changing with respect to the circulation system. There is a perimeter road which circles the property, which has been used for years by Vonage and Prudential. Access off of that roadway will be provided to the cottages and the other uses that are inside the perimeter roadway. The amount of parking that's been provided has been calculated with respect to the New Jersey Residential Site Improvement Standards. We meet and exceed the RSIS requirement for parking. We have more than adequate parking. I think your traffic consultant has agreed with that in his review letter. So parking's not an issue. We have more than enough parking. The site layout and circulation essentially remains as it was for the 2 office users that preceded us, Vonage and Prudential. It previously handled a much larger volume of traffic than the senior community is going to generate. So I've concluded that the on-site circulation is also safe and efficient. Trying to think what else I can say, and I think that about covers it.
And Mr. Ray, to the extent you haven't provided through testimony, you can provide Mr. Jar all the information he requested in his report?
Yes, and I won't speak for Mr. Jar. I'm sure he's going to have his, time to testify, but I've looked at the report. There are some items he's asked for, some revisions to the traffic generation estimates, some revisions to the traffic study. I've looked at his comments. I have no problem responding to them positively, making the changes that he's requested. I can revise the traffic study in accordance with what he's asked for. In my opinion, the changes will not change the levels of service. They won't change my conclusions, but I will take care of those items and comply with what's in his review letter.
Thank you. Nothing further from Mr. Ray.
Turn over to our professionals. They have any questions?
You referenced Mr. Jar's report, and I think that during the site plan testimony by the site engineer, they indicated they'll address all of our comments. Do you see any issues with any comments in the PSNS site plan report?
No, I do not. And the one thing I neglected to mention is that we did get a police report as well. And the county has looked at the police report. They've got a copy of that too. And the county has suggested that we have a meeting with the Holmdel Township Police, your professionals, and the county to work out some details about crosswalks on Holmdel Road, where they belong, whether they will be actuated, lighted, things of that nature. So we will attend that meeting with the county, along with the police and your professionals.
I have nothing more.
Good evening, Board. Is this working? Good evening, Board. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I think the most important thing that I would like to have is it's very, very important that the applicant share comments from the other agencies with us. I was not aware that the county made any comments to your project at this point, and I definitely would like to see those. And as a general rule, I would appreciate if the applicant would please share any comments from any other outside agencies with our office and with the board in the future. Usually the county would send to the board, but there's obviously the possibility that didn't happen. So that kind of puts me at a little disadvantage, because I'd really much like to know what the county's comments were. However, Mr. Ray's testimony is very accurate with regard to what he's provided to the board. There are some discrepancies in his report that we pointed out in our report, and we'd like those discrepancies addressed and adjusted. And Mr. Ray has testified that he will provide that. I'd like the opportunity to review that in order to make certain that there are no impacts to the site. Clearly, this site, from an access standpoint, was designed for a massive traffic generator in the form of I used to drive this road every day going to Mazer Consulting's office. So I was here when Prudential was here. The amount of traffic that the site accesses were designed for is a significantly higher peak hour than we expect to be looking at in this particular development. So long as it's not ever going to go back to Corporate Park, the access points are very over-designed. The driveways are very generous in their width. Their alignment has been done such that they're safe and efficient, and I have to agree with Mr. Ray's testimony on that. With regard to the levels of service, I would like him to make the adjustments that we asked for. His trip generation is slightly lower than ours. I agree, it probably won't make a difference, but I don't like probably. I'd like to know that it doesn't. And I'd like to be able to report back to the board. Since if we weren't going to have another meeting, then I might have to do a little more work on this, but because we're going to have another meeting anyway, I would prefer to get that information from Mr. Ray and then report back to the board that the testimony was provided was accurate, if that's acceptable to the board. With regard to the pedestrian circulation, there are a number of comments with regard to circulation on site. Obviously, this is a big change from a corporate office park. However, corporate office parks did, in various stages, have attention to pedestrians, people at lunch walking around and whatnot. So there is some attention still necessary, because this is a big change from what it was. All right, having residential take the place of an office does certainly lend itself to some other questions, and which obviously the county has also identified. And that is, what about pedestrian access? You're going to have many, many more people walking around at other times. During the day, during the week, at lunchtime is when you would have this park generating a lot of pedestrian traffic, people walking about. All right, what's going to happen is going to be more spread out. Same thing with the traffic. The traffic isn't going to be as intense in the morning and the afternoon as it was with the office park, and actually it's the opposite direction as well. So you have to take into account a couple of things with the traffic. Mr. Ray has done that in his report, and his testimony has provided some of those assurances we need to have with regard to the traffic. The key access element here is that this is a fully conforming planning board application. So what I'm looking for are any inconsistencies or anything that this specific change of use is going to cause from a traffic standpoint. So I'm looking at the driveways. Are they safe and efficient? Are there going to be any volume changes or geometric changes caused by the directional flow changing? So in an office park, generally speaking, everybody comes in the morning and they leave in the evening. This is going to be the exact opposite. Everybody's going to be leaving in the morning and coming in at night. Luckily, the way Newman Springs Road and Homedale Road work is it's very predominantly office-generated traffic and many people going towards the parkway. So there is a significant directional flow to our benefit. So in fact, looking at his analysis, this change in use from the commercial development to the residential may actually have some positive level service impacts at the intersection, because all of this infrastructure was designed for flow going the other way, which was the same direction as traffic flowing. Now their traffic's flowing the opposite way, so there may actually be some minor capacity improvements compared to what it was at the office park. No matter what, it's going to be a big change to everybody out there, because this site hasn't been fully utilized in, at least from my experience, in many, many years. So there will be traffic impacts, but no more than what was previously there when Prudential was there. Definitely, Vonage was less than Prudential from what I recall when I was driving the road. However, these are my own personal observations from many years of driving back and forth. So I feel very comfortable that the volumes that were reported, so I think there's been a lot of question about accuracy. The volumes that Mr. Ray reported his report, I definitely agree with. They make sense. The levels of service, I saw the same things every day. Okay, and since we've been asked to look at the application, I've gone out and looked at it myself. I've gone out in the peak hour and I've seen how the traffic works. There's no question Newman Springs and Homedale Road gets very busy in the peak hour. His peak hour was spot on when I came out. His AM peak hour, I think 7:45 to 8:45. Yes, 7:45 to 8:45, spot on. I got the same results he did. So I would say that from a traffic standpoint, I see no negative detriment to the community, and in fact, from a traffic perspective, after I see the rest of the analysis and the other changes, I will be able to confirm to the board if Mr. Ray's testimony was accurate with regard to the levels of service. I offer myself for any questions for the board regarding traffic.
Okay. No. Go ahead, Wes.
Two things. One, you are concerned about not knowing things that are going to happen or that you've not been apprised of. Two things. One, directly across the street on 520, there'll be a new development, and that's going to be 15 homes, and that driveway is directly across from your driveway. The second thing is there's going to be a 5-acre plot dedicated to the town. It may become emergency services. The county has not agreed to provide curb cuts to 520. So whatever emergency services are there, that's fire department and perhaps ambulance, they'll have to exit through this development. So whatever generous ingress and egress you're talking about would have to accommodate, I imagine, a fire truck at least. That's all.
We'll be sure to check on that and make sure the site plan is compliant with those needs.
So if we just may respond to Mr. Jar's comments, we certainly will update the report with all the information you have requested. The development across the street has been included in Mr. Ray's analysis and his conclusions. The county board review, my apologies, my experience is the county provides a copy to the board and the board circulates it to their professionals. I had no idea. It'll be in your email tomorrow morning. The only thing the county really had hit on, as we discussed at the last meeting, was the crosswalks and the request by the town. The issue with the EMS parcel, we have asked the town to confer with EMS and to talk to the county about that. The county seems amenable to providing a curb cut directly on a main street, but that's something the town has to ask, that because it's their property. So we've asked the town to do that, and we will coordinate with the town and the professionals to have that meeting with the county. Again, we can accommodate the on-site access road if needed, but again, that's, county hasn't made a final decision on that. They're waiting for us to, waiting for the township and us to meet with them to discuss that further.
It would be very helpful for the, I don't know if I would be invited or the town engineer would be invited, but with regard to the EMS access and whatnot, and convincing the county to allow that access directly on to Main Street, I think it'd be very helpful if the town engineer or representative was there to help in those discussions.
Absolutely. Our thought was, we certainly want the EMS, whether it's EMS or any emergency services who may be using that property, be involved, and certainly any board professionals, township professionals that want to be at that meeting, we would welcome that, because I think it's, again, it's the town's property, it's the town's use. You need to really be the discussion, the person driving the discussion. So certainly all the board professionals are absolutely encouraged to attend that. We will coordinate with everyone to make that meeting happen.
Yeah, we would absolutely want to make sure that EMS has the best and most efficient access absolutely allowable for obvious reasons.
Yeah, and again, I don't think the county would say no to it. I think they just need to hear from the town as opposed to us telling us this is what the town wants. So again, we will absolutely keep you in the loop. Make sure I coordinate with you directly. I didn't realize, again, you hadn't received the county report. It'll be in your email inbox tomorrow morning.
I appreciate that very much. And
Anytime. Anything else you
I'll be
need?
speaking with Mr. Nye directly.
Yeah, anything else you may need, feel free to ask, but we will keep you, any comments from any outside agencies that impact traffic, we'll make sure it gets directly to you as opposed to through some channel.
It's only to your benefit as well. I'm here to benefit the community. And in order for me to provide the best possible service, I have to have all the information, as Mr. Fagan described.
Understood. And John, you and I have known each other for 20-odd years now, so if there's anything else you need, please pick up the phone.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Good. Anyone else have any questions? Do we want to start public questions, or we want to? Right, I mean, on the traffic, do we want to push to the next year, the next meeting? You want to, because it's already 10 o'clock.
Do a show of hands and see.
Is it, all right, on the board, does everyone want to go to traffic questions now? It's 10 o'clock, or do you want to push to after the?
I can't imagine there's going to be many questions.
Well, there's a lot of people. All right, so we're gonna have a hard stop at 10:30, so if we can get through it, great. So, if you want to come up.
Well, defer to Mr. Gazarovski first. Ron. No, as a deferral, as a courtesy to you, do you have any questions? We'll defer to you first.
Okay.
All right, why don't you go first?
Good evening, Mr. Ray. Mr. Ray, is it your understanding, as it is mine, that there are 5 phases to this application for site plan?
4.
I think there's 4.
Pardon?
4.
4? Okay. And the only of the 4 phases, the only matter which is before the board with regard to a final approval is phase 1.
That is my understanding.
Okay. Can you show me, if you can, where is phase 1 on that plan?
Yeah, phase 1 is the existing building, Mr. Gazarovski. There is a part of the site plan lays out where the 4 phases are, but phase 1 is the existing building.
That would be the building which is in the center of the plan?
That is correct.
Okay. Now, with regard to that phase 1, is there any part of that preliminary, any part of that approval which grants a final approval as to the remaining other 3 phases? In other words, you're going for a preliminary and final as to phase 1. But as I look at it, at the plan, there is no access to a public road on phase 1, which you're seeking preliminary and final for. Correct?
No, sorry, that's not correct. Phase 1 will have access to both Holmdel Road and Newman Springs Road through the existing perimeter road and the connections from the perimeter road to the 2 county roads.
Can you outline for me the parameters of phase 1?
If I may, the point of this questioning, we've had testimony for 2 nights on the phasing. We've had site plan testimony. This is well established. Is there a traffic question involved here?
Traffic question is, with regard to the building which is located on phase 1, it has to have access to a public road.
Right, and as Mr. Ray has testified and is clearly laid out in the plans, if they were reviewed, every phase, not just one, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4, all have access to a public road. They have access to 2 public roads, as Mr. Ray testified, to Holmdel Road and to Main Street.
Having said that, you're not seeking final approval for phases 2, 3, and 4.
No, we're seeking preliminary on those, and that has been established, that they all have road access.
It may very well be that they have road access, but you're not seeking an approval for phase 2, phase 3, or phase 4. You're only seeking an approval for phase 1. Phase 1
That's correct. So what
does
is
not have access to a public road.
We've answered the question. You have any other questions?
Well, you haven't answered my question.
I've answered the question 3
May I
times.
have the
Mr.
expert
Ray,
answer the
Mr.
question?
Ray, answer the question for the 3rd time. Does phase 1 have access to a public road?
Yeah, Phase 1 has access to 2 public roads, Holmdel Road and Newman Springs Road, or Main Street.
Is it access directly from phase 1 to the public road, or must they proceed through phases 2, 3, or 4?
No, it's directly to the 2 county roads.
Can you show me that, please, on the plan?
Dominic, can you just, you have a cursor that, all right, right up at the top where Dominic's indicating, that is the access to Holmdel Road. And then as you come further down, there's a access to Main Street, right where the cursor is indicating.
But it is not directly from phase 1, is it?
Yes.
Pardon me?
Yes.
Okay. And it shows it on the plan.
Yes.
Can you just show that to me?
It's right off the perimeter road. There's a connection to, from the perimeter road, there's a connection to both Newman Springs Road, Main Street, and to Holmdel Road. It's there. It exists. That's how traffic.
And those connector roads are clearly only contained completely within phase 1.
Phase 1 has direct access to the 2 county roads, just like the Vonage and Prudential businesses did.
So you're saying that in that area where the public road is, the property immediately adjacent to the public road is a part of phase 1?
Yes.
Okay. I have no further questions.
Yes, Jay.
Jay Yanello, 18 Ladwood Drive. I think I saw the dates a while back, but it's been a while for all of us, so I lost them. Can you review when this, I think, 8-day period was taken, what week, what month?
Well, thanks to Mr. Jar, who did his normal great job of reviewing the information for the town. The original counts that are in the report were done in January of this year, 2025, but my counts were updated last month in November, and when I do the revisions to satisfy Mr. Jar, I will use the updated November counts.
Okay, and I'm not trying to be cute here, I don't know, was Brookdale and CBA in full swing during those times? Or were
Yes.
They were. I thought that was the case. Okay. Can I ask Mr. Jar a question too? Or
Yeah.
Yeah. Since you're very observant, one of you said 40 years. I live on Ladwood Drive. The talk of the whole area there is what has happened in the past 18 months with the 4 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. rush hour, because it's backing up all the way from 34, all the way up onto Middletown Road, up to Village School, and,
Does this have to do with
Cross
Vonage?
Farm. So, what has happened, from your opinion, what has caused that? And then I'm going to get to my question, what has caused that massive change in the past year and a half?
I have no idea what's changed. I've sat in the traffic jam myself. I think what it is sometimes there's been stuff going on some of the state roads nearby, Route 9, 34, 33, and I think it's causing people to take other, you know how the Waze and the GPS, just, you never know where you're going to end up. It gives you a different route each time. I think once they have a backup on some of them, these are really good bypass. You know, not for nothing, Newman Springs Road it's
Yeah.
it's everybody's best bypass. I suspect that that's what's going. But I really don't know.
Okay,
what's
that
happening.
might be the case.
And yeah,
Does this traffic study consider the sports fields? By the way, I said this many times. I was on the committee that assessed this property. There was no talk of all these sports fields that are on there. Does it consider the sports fields?
Yes.
Okay. When you said the 520 gets a C rating, is that the average? Because what's the rating at the peak moment, 4 to 5:30? Is that more like an E or an F?
No, that's a C.
So the
It's
worst
it's
point.
better than a C during the non-peak hours.
So the worst point is a C rating.
That is correct.
And a C rating is about how long to pull on the road, roughly? Rough, top of your head.
I'll give you an exact.
Okay.
Level of service C is a range between 15 and 25 seconds per vehicle.
So you're saying during the worst moment when it's gridlock, when people on Rambling Brook and Ladwood can't get on the road for sometimes 90 seconds, you're saying your worst recorded, or the average worst recorded is 20 some odd seconds?
I don't know where your street is, or
It's past the light up a little.
okay. I can tell you these calculations, based on my peak hour observations, are very accurate.
Okay. Do you?
This witness can continue. I have to take a couple
Okay.
Mr. Jar, do you understand what I'm saying? 90 seconds is an exaggeration. Sometimes we have to wait up to 2 minutes to pull out. He's saying roughly the worst case scenario is 20, 25 seconds further down, closer to the Route 34 light where there's often even more gridlock. Does that sound right to you? That sounds very conservative.
Is Ladwood not near the school, near Village School?
Yeah, but it's all going that way. Most of it's not really turning on Homedale Road.
But if that's the case now, these people, where you're located.
Microphone.
Oh, thank you. Where
It's
you're
right up
located-
from Exxon. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what is the question that you have?
The question is-
for the traffic engineer.
Yes, the question for the
That
traffic
traffic
well, I
engineer.
asked him what's the worst case scenario. He's saying 20, 25 seconds. Let's say 30 seconds. Okay, that's just down. What I'm saying is we're experiencing much worse than that right up the road a little. That just seems like a big difference.
Just to clarify, he's testifying as to the two access points, the access point from this property on
Yes.
the Main Street and the access property on the Homedale
Yes.
Road, nowhere else.
No, I'm-
So
I'm
if there's a backup at 34, that's not
No,
involved.
I understand. I'm
Backup in your
specifically
neighborhood, not involved.
Yes,
Okay,
I
just want
appreciate
to make sure
that.
I
I'm
understood.
specifically referring to the access point on 34, which now will be across from, I think, Heavenly Estates.
You mean Main Street?
Main Street, yeah.
No, that's
Sorry,
okay, okay.
yeah.
Just
It's
wanna make
late,
sure we're
it's
understanding
late.
each other.
Yes, the Main Street. So I'm just finding it, I'm not saying you're lying, I'm just saying, wow, that's a big difference from what we're experiencing just slightly up the road. That's all.
What street are you on?
Ladwood. So there's Ladwood, Rambling Brook, Candlelight. The whole talk of the community over the past year or so is what has happened during that 4 to 5, 5:30. It could be up to 2 minutes. I mean, off the top of my head, I'm not a traffic engineer. We're at an
But
F.
Jay, I'm not trying to be.
Yeah, no,
it's
okay.
Just, we got other
I'm almost
people.
done.
It's been
I
5,
think I'm
6
almost
minutes.
done.
Jay, our expert has testified that he thinks it's actually going to go down from what
Excuse
it
me.
was.
I didn't say that.
No, someone out there used profanity.
Okay. And just review, why would it go down? Because they're going to be coming, I mean, why? So if it's bottleneck this way, why would that help?
Compared to what it was when Prudential was
Yes,
there,
okay, yeah, that's-
So, yeah,
yes.
let's make
yeah,
sure we have the
okay.
right accurate information.
And just real quickly, did you pull any accident data from that intersection on Exxon? Because there's regularly bad accidents there. Have you pulled any accident data?
I did not. That is an off-site intersection. I've studied that intersection in the past for different applications and did do an accident analysis. It's a four-way signalized intersection. My expectation is that with everybody stopping for a red light every now and then, you're going to have accidents at a signalized intersection. It's very common.
Is it labeled by the county as a problematic intersection? Do you, either of you know that?
Not to the best of my knowledge.
Okay. Do you?
It's a very busy intersection, and I don't think that it's certainly not on, all right, so there are lists. This does not appear on the list that I've recently looked at, because obviously I checked that for these things, but I will be more than happy to do not just find that answer out and make sure, but I'll also see if I have some time, and I'll speak with the township engineer as well about the 3 streets that you mentioned, and I'll go have a look at them myself as well.
Yeah, and again, you want to look at it when Brookdale, CBA, and everything else, and village schools in service.
All right, thank you.
Tom Connors on Candlelight, which is 2 blocks away from Ladwood. Lived here for 30 plus years. I have never seen traffic as bad as it's been in the last 5 years. He
Just
said 18
louder a little
months.
bit.
I'll say 5 years. I even ride my bike. I go out in the morning, 7 o'clock, ride my bike, come back. I have seen traffic lined up to Village School. I've seen traffic going the other way at the light.
Listen,
lined up.
not to interrupt, but I need a question just because.
I will give you a question. I
yeah.
wanted to give you a little background.
We don't need
It's
background.
not like I don't live in the area for a while.
Okay.
It can take me, like Jay said, 2 minutes to get out of my block. Sometimes I have to go right instead of going left because I can't get out. Or I've seen people get out and floor it so they don't get into an accident. So when you say we might have less traffic, I don't understand that. Because now you're going to have more people in that property. And I've been here since Vonage was here, Prudential was here, and you're going to have people coming from that place, work there, and live there. So the flow of traffic being less,
I need to make it overwhelmingly clear than when Prudential was there. Okay, there is obviously the site's vacant. There's going to be more traffic when they occupy it.
I was there
okay?
when Prudential was there. We didn't have this much traffic.
The 2 different things. All right, we're looking at this application. The ambient traffic on the street, this developer is not responsible for. Okay, we have to take care of that with the county and ourselves, right? So my purvey right now is to review what's going to happen when they put the site back into operation. Okay.
Correct.
And because I have historical knowledge of my own, because living in Marlboro and driving down 527 to Red Bank every day for 15 years, got it. Okay, make it really clear. Please, everybody understand this. When I say the traffic pattern is going to be less or beneficial, it's because of what was when Prudential was there. No matter what, they're going to reoccupy the site. There's going to be additional traffic here. It's not a significant amount of additional traffic in phase 1 or phase 2. It isn't until they get to the full build out that they have what I consider significant traffic. What I consider significant traffic is anytime you add 100 peak hour trips, okay? They won't get to that for a very long time, so we're probably not ever going to notice that part, okay? That's why their study is prepared, taking into account all the phases, because from a traffic standpoint, once they get going, there's not a lot of turning back that can be done. So I need to make sure I assess what's going to happen in 2030 when the site's fully occupied now. I can't wait just for phase 1. I'm looking at the whole thing as if tomorrow the switch went on and all the traffic was there. And what I'm saying is that when the switch goes on and all the traffic is there, I agree with Mr. Ray's analysis that the driveways are going to operate safely and efficiently at level of service B and C. That makes sense. All right. I'm asking that he update his analysis with his new count and the new trip generation numbers so that I can confer with his analysis at the signalized intersection. That's where we stand.
So in the proposal that's here, there's affordable housing. Is that 55 and older, or is that any age?
It's 50. is 55.
It's all senior housing.
All senior housing or assisted.
Okay, so the senior housing are gonna come in and out all the time, and they're all seniors, and getting that access, probably on Homedale Road, I agree, probably not an issue, but getting on 34 is gonna be an issue. So they're all coming into that light at Homedale Road and 520. And there's a little bit of a turn lane to go left to go south to Colts Neck. That's the only turn lane that's there. And the traffic can back up. You can sit at a light for 4
I'm
lights.
sorry, I just want to
And
push
so
along.
that
Is there a
something
question?
that's taken into consideration in this plan to understand how long people will stay at the light, even though it's not the Vonage access or the new development access, but it's the people going to be using that light there and potentially have accidents?
I'm gonna have Mr. Ray answer the question.
I've been through this intersection many, many times over the last 40 years. I don't think I've ever waited 4 traffic light changes to get through this signal. It's just what the gentleman just mentioned. It's just simply not accurate. I can't
It's
say
simply not
anything
what?
else. Simply not accurate.
Well, that's not true because I've sat in 4 lights.
Okay, well, he gave you the answer.
If
I
you're
mean,
coming out during the school access from Village School, you sometimes can't even get on Main Street because it's all backed up. So you.
I mean, I believe
you
he
have
answered
your
you.
analysis, but you're not living there. Thank you.
Peter Maneri again, 59 Bethany Road. I agree about the site itself. There's plenty of parking, it's big enough, the cars can get around. But let's face the facts. From Homedale Road, Main Street.
Sir, I got to ask you to ask a question.
Okay, I'll ask a question. Right now, on Route 34, at the light, going south, there's no arrow to turn to the left. People are sitting ducks. And then you have the jam up between East, Homedale Road and 34. Cars are turning around presently. If nobody sees that, then everybody's got blinders on. The cars are turning around right in the middle of the road. Why? The board had a building put up, and that building is just east of the light on 34. Guess what? They only allow them to turn right. Why? Because you can't make a left there. It's all jammed up. People are cutting
Is there,
through.
sir, is there a question?
People are cutting through Eli Development right now, tomorrow, today, and every day. There's accidents there all the time. Hey, I'm not saying stop this. I'm saying we all have blinders on if you people believe there's not an issue down there. It's become Bethany Road. It's the truth. But we have problems too.
Sir, you have a question?
Hi. Christopher Fontana, 29 Windy Brook Way. For the benefit of the witnesses, that is the lower right hand of the map, bordered by 520 and Homedale Road. So, Mr. Ray, the morning peak, you estimated around 80, in the evening around 100.
Correct.
And, I'm sorry, what was your name again?
Mr. Jar.
Mr. Jard, you said it wasn't problematic until it's 100 peak trips, but in phase 1, we're already there for the evening.
No, that's not true.
Did I miss it?
Yeah, you misunderstood something.
Okay. And the report was dated as of June, correct?
June 11th, 2025, correct.
And was that before or after the paving and milling and restriping of Homedale Road?
That was before the paving and restriping of Homedale Road.
So that doesn't take into account the traffic changes since then?
I just testified that I updated my counts in November, and the November counts did take into consideration those changes.
And final question. Have there been any contemplation with the county regarding signal improvements to the intersection of 520 and Homedale Road for covered left turns?
They haven't asked for anything as of this date. It's not in their review letters.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else have a question?
Pete Franco, 5 Hopper Lane. Did you guys take into consideration truck traffic? I mean, on average, a loaded dump truck at say 80,000 pounds, or any truck for that matter, taking, say, 0 to 20, 20 to 30 seconds, 0 to the speed limit, which is 45 on Homedale Road, could take in excess of 45 seconds. With the ordinance being, I think it's what, 7 o'clock for construction to start. Picture those trucks pulling out onto the road, school buses behind them, traffic on the intersections, people angry, people pissed off that they're going to be late because of the construction going on. And that's just dump trucks, let alone all the other, all the other vendors that are going to be there.
Yes, trucks are included in the traffic counts. We do what we call classification counts. When we do our traffic counts, we count the cars, the trucks, the school buses. We differentiate everything. So we're well aware of the truck traffic. It's included in the analysis.
Any other public questions?
Prakash Santana, 18 Barbaro Drive. In your analysis, have you considered crosswalks? Because this is a residential building, and across from Vonage property, there's a pharmacy and a pizzeria, so people are going to be going back and forth. So have you considered crosswalks and the impact of the crosswalk on the traffic itself? Thank you.
Yes, a crosswalk has been discussed with the county in the vicinity of, I think it's Spring Valley Road, Spring Valley Drive, which is where the perimeter road comes the closest to Homedale Road. Typically, the county likes to have crosswalks at intersections, and if there's going to be a crosswalk, which I think there will be, it'll be at that location.
Okay. Any other questions? Anyone on the board? All right, we're going to close public questions right now. Anyone on the board have any further questions after all that? No? Okay, well, because it's 10:20, I guess we're gonna adjourn for the day. We make a motion, and we'll have public comments at a later date.
Well, you gotta set a date for the site, and you gotta set a date to carry to the reorg meeting.
Yeah, and
What's the reorg meeting? What day?
13th.
Mr. Chairman, can I just make one request of Mr. Gazarovski and his client?
Sure.
Is that if, Mr. Gazarovski, if you are going to have expert witnesses, if they are going to have reports, I would ask that those be submitted to the board in advance of the next hearing so we can have a chance to review. I don't know if you have a planner, but just in general, I think it's good practice for experts so the board is,
Okay.
the board can follow along.
Let me represent to you and to the board that I do in fact have two expert witnesses.
Can't hear you.
Let me represent to the
Board will be
and-
taking 5-minute intermission. Thank you.
I'm sorry. Let me represent to the board and to
These
you,
off?
Wait, hold on.
Wait, hold on, we got 5
on,
minutes.
Board is back to the session. Please have a seat. Thank you.
Okay. All right, Marty,
So I can summarize. So the reason for the small delay was we were just trying to get both councils, schedules ready to when we're going to carry this to, and schedule a site visit. So, and as of January 1st, obviously the current board no longer exists, and we have to get reappointed January 1st. So we can't do anything until we reorg, and that's on January 13th. So the suggestion was we carry this hearing without further notice until January 13th. As soon as reorg is finished, we will open for the continuation of this public hearing. At that time, since the applicant's finished with their testimony, Mr. Gazarovski, you have witnesses. Anybody who has an expert witness has to come that night. That's the night for the objector's witnesses. If you have reports to submit, please submit them prior to the time so our professionals can review them. At that point, we're left with public comment, which will start that night if there's time, and then it'll most likely be carried to the 27th of January, which
For the
is
vote,
which is our next scheduled meeting, but it won't become official until reorg. And that most likely will be the final hearing night. So comments may start on the 13th. It depends on how long your witnesses go, Mr. Gazarovski, and then we'll finish up on the 27th. And in order to do all this, we need the applicant, I believe, is agreeable to give us an extension to the 27th of January.
That's correct, Mr. Flager. The board's time to act on this application is December 30th, and we will agree to extend the time through the 27th to accommodate the dates you laid out. And the dates are acceptable. Once on the 13th, we'll figure out, I guess, the date of the site visit.
Correct. That because it'll be a new board, we can't schedule a January site visit until the 13th. So
Understood.
the goal for this board or the new members, when we do get there, is to schedule it very quickly, obviously before the 27th. So we're not going to finish on the 13th because we will have the site visit still.
Understood.
No matter what. And then we'll do the final, whatever's left open, maybe final comments from the board, and then, proceed to a vote at some point that evening.
Yes.
But
You're
there'll be
gonna say-
testimony on the 13th.
There will be testimony, starting with your applicants, your witnesses.
And then we'll have public comments.
And then we'll start public comments, and then we'll finish public comments on the 27th, and any board observations of the site visit. It's anticipated that this will not go past the 27th because we do not believe the applicant will give us an extension past the 27th. So
I have one
your
question.
witnesses have to be available.
Is it anticipated that the present makeup of the board will be the same on the 13th?
We don't know, but they'll have to listen to the tapes and sign their affidavit.
Yeah, and if there are any new members, they'll have to either read the transcript.
Yeah, we just said that. We do that on all our applications.
All right. Thank you.
May I just ask if Mr. Gazarovski could let us know as professionals what type of professionals he anticipates
Yes.
bringing, just for scheduling purposes?
Microphone, please. Thank you.
At present, I anticipate calling two experts, one being a hydrologist, the other being an engineer. I may have others, but I believe I will have those two, and they will be available on the 13th.
Do you mean general civil site engineer?
Yes.
Okay.
And Kate, how far in advance do you need the reports so you can review them timely?
Ideally, it would be, 10 days to a week.
Okay, so please try and have their reports in the first week of January.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Please have your experts provide their reports.
I may not provide reports. I may just have them present oral testimony.
Well, if they have a report.
If I have an expert report, I will proceed to give it to your.
Well, if there's anything that they're going to testify to that they know, it would help expedite the process if our professionals know that in advance so they can address it.
Yes.
If I receive an expert report, I'll produce it.
If you
But
could just
I may
provide to
not.
board secretary, I can pass it to our professionals. Thank you.
Okay. So we need a motion and a second to carry this without further notice to our reorg meeting on January 13th, 2026 at 7. which will, it'll immediately follow the reorg hearing, but it'll be, we don't know the exact time, but it'll follow the 7 o'clock reorganization, which takes about 15 minutes.
Motion. Second.
Do we need a voice vote? Marty?
You should, just,
Yeah, no.
let's be safe.
Mr. Connolly?
Yes.
Mr. Ackerson?
Yes.
Mr. Romano? Mr. Fagan?
Yes.
Mr. Mon?
Yes.
Mr. Emma?
Yes.
Mr. King? Ms. Plausas? Mr. Silberman?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. The application was carried without further notice till January 13th, 2025. Thank
All
you.
right, at this time, do I have
Thank you,
a-
board members. Happy holidays to everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Someone
to
make
you.
a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
What?
What?
Wait, are we off? Are we off?
No,
Oh,
we
it's
didn't
on?
adjourn yet, so. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yes. Yeah. Well, we'll remind, you're right, because we usually don't.
I just
but
need,
we'll remind you.
any reports from professionals?
And that means, are these?
Any reports from professionals? No. I just need motion and second to adjourn unless there is any other comments
Yeah.
from the board.
Motion?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you. Have a good night. Happy holidays.